All right, everybody, welcome out to the Lager Room Guys Craft Beer Show. It is Tuesday, October the 18th, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you with me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. Say hello, Mr. Samurai.
Hey, everyone. Happy Chocolate Cupcake Day.
Happy National Chocolate Cupcake Day. I did make it a point to stop at a couple of different places. They did not have what Dave is eating.
Which is the tasty cake ones. Mm-hmm. I liked them. Just like everything from our childhood, I liked them better when we were kids.
Oh, of course. I did, however...
They didn't have cream filling in them.
Yeah. I did, however, stop at the third stop. I stopped at ShopRite, actually, because I figured I got to have them there, right? It was a box of 18. I was not buying a box of 18.
You mean this box?
Yeah, you bought the box of 18.
No, Carrie bought it for me.
Carrie, there you go.
But hey, it's just part of the shtick, right?
Gotcha. Well, in any event, happy National Chocolate Cupcake Day. So.
But I need something to wash that down with. That is not going to fly. That's
okay. We got a hello already. Brian Boak said hi, guys. Hi, Brian. How's it going, Brian?
How are we doing?
How are you?
His birthday passed recently.
His birthday was, not too long ago. Happy birthday. Brian, I might be seeing you in November at a Giant game. I'll more on that later.
Oh.
So what are you doing right now? You seem to be making a drink.
I'm making a cocktail. I know it's a beer podcast, but today is also National October Revolution Day.
Happy National October Revolution Day. And for those of you who have no idea what October Revolution Day is, Dave will explain it momentarily.
So it's no secret on the show that I am not a fan of pumpkin spice, right?
Oh, you're a huge fan of pumpkin spice.
Yeah, I think that's actually putting it mild. That
I believe you. You can't start your day without a pumpkin latte from Dunkin' Donuts.
So at any rate, I actually had made, to prove a point that there's no pumpkin in any of this pumpkin spice stuff.
Right.
I had made pumpkin spice infused vodka.
Right.
Proved my point, and then I got stuck with all this pumpkin spice infused vodka.
Right.
So I had to do something with it.
Right, of course.
And there's a reason I'm wearing this shirt today, because our friend Scott Wells is a huge fan of the White Russian. Mm-hmm. So what I did with the White Russian is, rather than the vodka, I took that pumpkin spice infused vodka. Mm-hmm. Hey, guess what? This is not the pumpkin and spice infused vodka.
It's not?
No.
Well, you could have just pretended it was and not said anything. But see, we are all about honesty on this show. Yeah,
we are, and it's going to show in my face anyway, because I just made a White Russian with ancho.
Oh, talk about revolution!
This wasn't planned. This is just me being stupid. Maybe it's the Mexican Revolution.
There you go. Well,
that's awful. That is awful.
You should drink that in a couple of weeks for was it Dia del Muerte or whatever?
Dia de los Muertos, yes.
Dia de los Muertos,
Muertos.
There you go.
Okay, that's pretty awful.
All right, so in any event, what he was supposed to do, folks, was he was supposed to make a White Russian using pumpkin spiced infused vodka.
And if you know anything about history, October Revolution makes a lot of sense for the name of that drink.
There you go.
Russian history. So
anyway,
okay. So now I definitely need a beer after that.
No, you need to get a beer. So before we get the beer, should we bring our guests on? What do
you bring the guests on? I'm gonna get my beer.
You get your beer. You're really gonna?
Well, I'm getting my beer.
You're getting your beer. You're never ready.
The beer is always good. It's just right there.
All right. All right. Well. Let's welcome to the show today, please. It would be Mr. and Mrs. Hassing, Eric and Heidi from Angry Erik Brewing. There they are, right there. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Did the lights go out?
What's that?
You don't see them. Do you see them?
I see them.
Oh, okay.
I see them. I see them fine. I'm looking right at them.
We did put our cloak of invisibility on for a second, but...
It must be the ancho chili vodka you just drank with cream.
That sounds terrible, but
it's awful.
I try
it. As much as I dislike the pumpkin spice, the other one is so much better. It actually tastes really good. This one does not. Okay, so I'm not the only one that doesn't see them, John.
Yeah, I see them fine.
That's weird.
Brian sees them. Brian, do you see them now?
He's saying he does not.
All right. They are there. Here, you know what? I'll just pull it
It's
up
probably
on.
better our camera on this cheap.
Do you hear?
laptop.
You hear them though, right?
Oh, hear them fine. Yes.
Hear them. All right. So we'll just double check. We'll just
There they are.
There they are. Okay, they popped up.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and Eric doesn't look that angry. Yeah. It's a nice
Yeah.
young.
Brian still does not see them. I'm looking. I'm going to look because you're looking on. Brian's looking on Facebook.
Yes.
We're looking on.
Up. He sees them now.
He sees them now.
So
Okay.
it's just a delay in his response.
So it's a delay. Okay, now they are there. All right.
There they is.
Thank you, Mr. Bogue. Thank you very much. Okay. So anyway, how are you guys this evening?
We are great.
Very
How's
good.
everything up in New Jersey?
It's good. It's quiet. Haven't had any cows coming across our property recently, or
Is that a normal
Others
occurrence,
asking to
or
shoot the cows?
So we
you know?
actually did have that happen one day. I was in my office and I hear like all this crazy noise happening outside.
right?
And we have a lot of wildlife that comes through here.
Okay.
We have like a whole family of groundhogs, foxes, rabbits, deer that we see on regular
Gene
basis.
Lynch.
Bear. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Oh, he could be confused for a bear.
Right.
But this one day, I hear somebody yelling, and then mooing, and so I stick my head outside.
Was it Gene?
But no, and it wasn't Scott Wells either.
It wasn't Scott. No.
No, which would have made sense.
I think
but-
Bob's the one that does the mooing.
Bob does the.
Oh
mooing.
yeah, you're right.
Uh,
So anyway, there was a whole herd of cows in our
Jeez.
beer garden, and the mayor comes running out like, ah! I kid you not, like he's just freaking out, and he goes, "Whose cows are these?" I'm like, "Dude, you're the one following the cows. I have no idea who these cows are and why
They
they're
don't raise
here."
cows.
So does the mayor live that close that he can intercede in a bovine incident?
He does live close. He also has his own cows. He's like, "They're not my cows. They're not my cows." Well, luckily it was like a Tuesday or whatever, and my dogs were here with me, and so we used our 3 dogs to herd the cows, so that they would go back to where they had come from.
Okay.
What kind of dogs are these? Please tell me they're not dachshunds. Actually, that'd be awesome if they were dachshunds herding cows.
No, they're not.
Although
They're-
the cows seem like they could have been herded by dachshunds.
Yeah.
Shame.
That
Fair
dachshund.
enough.
So we have at that time we had a Mastiff mix who was about 88 pounds, Shar-Pei mix who's he could herd anything if he wanted to, but he usually just wants to sleep. And then we
Same.
actually have
Right.
and then we actually have a Shepherd Border Collie mix who literally could herd anything. So
We really need to get some sheep for her because that
There
would
you
make the day to just
Sure,
fish
absolutely.
around the yard. I don't know if the sheep would like it.
That just makes total sense. I mean,
Yes. It's what they do.
that's
goes.
great. You don't hear about like Brian Kobecki, right, down at Departed Souls. You don't hear about
No.
these cow stories in Jersey City. You just
No,
it just
no.
doesn't happen
That'd be a
there.
hell of a
That's
story.
You
what
know?
we bring to the podcast.
yeah.
Right, exactly. So, but in any event, that's great. That was a great story. Let's open beers. What are you guys drinking?
Well, we have Swag right now, which is a hazy IPA, and it is made so we have this Alpha Hop City series, and so each beer is named for the letters of the hops in it. So
Oh,
Swag
cool.
is Stabro, Waimea, Azaka, and Galaxy hops.
Very nice.
So do you always have to have a hop with a vowel, I guess?
You'd have to, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's easier now because there's a lot of new hops. It was when I first started this a little challenging. The names were shorter then, but
It was.
A lot of them began with C.
It was like.
everybody thought I stuttered, but it was just clear,
Citra with Chinook. CC.
yeah, right. But that's good. Swag. I like that. That's pretty cool. You're both drinking that?
Yeah, we just cleaned our lines.
Mhm.
So we opened one so we'd have something to drink, but
There you
the
go.
rest are gonna stay closed until Thursday.
Well,
Totally
in,
makes sense.
in theory.
Well,
theory, they're
yeah,
going to
I'll,
stay closed.
I'll
You
probably
know,
open them tomorrow, but
we didn't when we cleaned the lines. We didn't know this was happening. So
This is true.
might
This
have
is
to
true.
make an exception.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Dave, what do you drink?
One of the beers I brought back from New Hampshire. This is Vulgar Brewing Company's Mr. Balloon Hands.
Mr. Balloon Hands.
Yeah, that is
Interesting.
that is so the bird there. It's the pun here is they're literally giving you the bird.
Oh, I get it.
It's a vulgar gesture.
I see what they did there.
He's got a name. I forget what it is,
Clever.
but we're reaching out to them to possibly get them on the show. They can explain it to us. But this is it's an IPA. It's a West Coast sensibility to it.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, they're from New Hampshire, but you can see through the beer.
Look at that.
You know, it's not hazy.
That's you know,
It's rare up there.
it's unique for a brewery from
Mhm.
New England making a West Coast, right? And that is, and I don't
Very
say that in
creative
jest
from them.
either. I mean, you know, but I mean that's great.
Yeah,
I will-
I believe there's Cascades in this. I think he told me.
I will hold down. I will hold down the lager fort for the lager.
Yeah, because I'm doing something that
you generally never do.
I generally never do. John's done it a few times. But
Mhm.
I'm going to go all IPAs on the show.
Okay.
It's
I'm-
rare for me. It's not the biggest IPA fan.
I am drinking. I'm right near there, so I had a Jersey lager from Bradley Brew Project. So
Good beer.
drinking one of these. Haven't had it yet, so I've had their John Pilsner or whatever. A couple of
Is it named
lagers
after
haven't
you?
had.
Of course.
No, it was not named after me. No. It was named after. Ironically, it was named after a firefighter in Bradley Beach, as far as I know.
Oh.
But
No.
but not me because I'm not a firefighter.
Not a
Bradley Beach.
firefighter in Belmar.
Not in Belmar either. No. So anyway, cheers, everyone.
here's
Prost.
Prost, yeah.
And that's my second beer.
Yeah, right.
Almost there.
So pretty good.
already on my second, but I'll try and
There you
slow
go.
down if I need to.
Slow down, exactly. All right,
Well,
so
let's keep going.
let's kick it off. Let's do the first question we always ask every guest.
And what is
All right.
that question, John?
That question, you know what that question is.
I
That
know
question
the
would be this.
They don't.
We'll start with both of you can answer independently, of course. Heidi, we'll start with you.
Okay.
To the best of your recollection, what was the first craft beer you ever had?
Probably. Well, okay. So it depends on your definition of craft beer. So
Something that didn't have Anheuser-Busch, Miller, or
No,
Coors in
okay.
it.
So
Something that you didn't have to drink ice cold to be
Right.
able to drink.
So I
To
grew
numb
up.
your taste buds.
I grew up in New England, so it was definitely Sam Adams.
Okay.
That-
Fair enough.
Same for
There
I
you
mean,
for John and
yeah,
I.
because
Mhm.
well, at the time, Guinness wasn't owned by Anheuser-Busch or InBev, so I mean, maybe that counted then, but it wasn't the Irish version of Guinness either. And I feel like maybe so I wouldn't count that, but
That's funny, 'cause I don't count it either.
No,
yeah,
no, no,
this
no.
is this is a long time ago, though. I mean, craft. I don't think they even had the definition of craft beer when I had my first.
Oh, they certainly didn't have the definition of craft beer when I'm talking.
Yeah, they're called microbreweries back
Yeah.
then, right?
It was 30 some odd years ago when I had my first Sam Adams Boston Lager. So
Yeah, and
Right.
I feel like Sam Adams might have actually been kind of small then compared to what they are now.
certainly a hell of a lot smaller. Yeah.
But then the
they
other
were
one
just
would have been Sierra Nevada.
sure.
Yellow.
And John, I think you were going to ask if InBev owns Guinness, and it's actually
It's
Diageo.
Diageo owns Guinness.
Yeah. They're Chinese, mostly distilleries.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Diageo.
So I'm going to throw you a loop with this.
Go for it.
I was going to say Sam Adams because I remembered that from senior year of college. But then I remembered I went to a rugby game at the University of Vermont,
Okay.
and they were sponsored by Catamount Brewing Company.
Catamount Brewing. Wow.
yeah,
Nice.
And I
we've
remember,
had that
you know,
before.
you're used to in college having like really like real crap
Mhm.
for the brewery for
course.
the social, it's like something light that's gonna like
How many
put you on the toilet the next day all day.
how many different 6-packs of how many cases of beer can you get for $10? That was
Yeah.
when college was.
it was kegs, and then have the rookies carry the kegs.
How many kegs can you get for $10?
Yeah, exactly. And so that was the first time I had a beer that actually I was like, what is this? Like, why do you have this? Turns out they were sponsored by Catamount.
Nice.
Which, they since went out of business. I don't know if it's because they gave free beer to the rugby team.
Right.
UVM, or I don't know.
Well, they weren't located in New Jersey, so they're.
Well, considering a lot of rugby players have to drink beer out of the dirty cleat, I mean, that doesn't do a lot for the profile flavors of your beer at that point when people are tasting it for the first time out of a boot.
That's only if you score a try. You have to drink it out of the boot.
Yeah.
But a seasoned rugby player can dissect the different flavors coming from the beer versus coming from the cleat.
Yeah, the toe jam has a certain musk to it that is overcome by a nice amber from Catamount.
Exactly.
Not overcome by the Macros, not even name brand version of their brewery put out beer.
Like Meisterbrow back in the day. That was a nice cheap
Meisterbrow, Master Brew, Mr. Beer,
Old Milwaukee.
Old Milwaukee, Peels,
aka the Beast,
Black Label, red, white, and blue beer.
Red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. Yeah.
So, and I was a Moosehead girl because being from Maine.
Canada. Ooh, you a fancy.
Actually, I take that back. I just remembered I had an IPA with an elephant on the front of it in high school at a pizzeria in Flagstaff, Arizona that I think still exists, so I won't mention their name because I was a high school kid. And I thought it tasted terrible. Love IPAs now, but
elephant on the front.
And it wasn't. Was it Delirium Tremens?
That's not an IPA.
I don't remember the name of it.
But back then,
you thought maybe, right?
Maybe might not be perfect.
Maybe it was a Delirium Tremens, and he thought it was an IPA.
Oh, that's what I'm wondering.
Because he was in high school and didn't know.
I don't know. I just remember it was too soon for me. I was still coming off of Kool-Aid, so
there you go.
I was not ready for that beer.
There you go. Brian Boak says he grew up on Molson Golden Ale from 1977. There you go.
Oh, another fancy one drinking the imports.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in college, Molson Golden was my go-to when I had the money, and I was one of the few guys on campus that had a job. So
I had Molson went to college up in Maine, so
there was no jobs.
I remember having somebody come back with like Labatt's Blue and
Labatt's Blue, sure.
Oh, that was a good one.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. If we're going there with Molson or whatever, I probably had a Molson Golden. In fact, I'm sure I had a Molson Golden before I had a Sam Adams because I had a Molson Golden before Sam Adams was Sam Adams. So
that is probably the case here. And if we're going imports, I may have had a Spaten before either of them.
Fair enough. I certainly had Beck's. I definitely had a Beck's. I definitely had Dark. Beck's Dark.
Yeah. It's the better beer, and then there was, and then of course, there was the Lion's Brew,
right?
Lowenbrow.
Oh,
I didn't like that one.
That was a fancy beer in Flagstaff.
Fancy beer. Yeah. I still know it's one of my favorite beer jingles from the late '70s, early '80s. The Lowenbrow song.
That was a period of time like people who live now, who didn't live then, don't understand it. It was.
They'll never get it either.
That is a funny way to phrase that.
People live now.
Michelob Dark, maybe, and Lowenbrow was your imported, and that was like kind of it at a lot of places you went.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you come right down to it, Michelob, just the beer itself, which they don't make anymore, right, was not a bad beer.
It was not.
Yeah.
Michelob Bach was
actually really good beer.
Pretty damn tasty.
Really good beer. And I remember really enjoying Schmitz.
Sure.
Schmitz and Schlitz.
Mm-hmm. It was growing up. There was Schaefer and Rheingold in my house.
It was the one beer to have.
When did Yuengling come about for you guys?
Yuengling was. I mean, Yuengling's in Pennsylvania. We grew up in New Jersey, but Yuengling wasn't in New Jersey for.
Nope.
Yeah, because
we were adults.
They have it in Maine now, but not when I was there.
The big Pennsylvania beer that was in New Jersey when we were kids was Jenny Cream Ale.
That's New York.
That's
that's right. It's New York.
New York.
Hmm.
I thought they brewed that in Newark too. Maybe I'm wrong. No,
Jenny Cream? No, that was in
Jenny
that's
Cream.
Rochester. It's Genesee. It's Jenny Cream. It's up
Genesee,
in
yeah.
Rochester. Yeah.
That's right. It's New York. That's
New
right.
York, yeah. Oh, I had plenty of Jenny Cream. I don't
Newark.
count that as a
Newark.
craft beer.
Newark was Ballantine.
Newark was
Valentine.
Valentine.
Yes.
Yeah, they have the Ballantine Museum down there.
Three big breweries in Newark: Ballantine, Pabst, and AB and
And then
Budweiser.
whatever happened, Valentine a few years ago, like 8 years ago, was gonna come make
They made a
They
comeback.
did.
and then what happened? Nothing. I mean,
They
made it.
They did, but is it? I haven't.
Seen
I
it.
think it's. I think it got. I'm not sure exactly. I don't think it was Ballantine. I think it was actually. And I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this. I think it was that one company that bought up all the old guys, right? Bought up Pabst, bought up
Right.
Schlitz, bought up Schmitz, brought up Schaefer, and all the
rebranded them and tried
rebranded them. So I think
make
they started it with
grandfather's
Valentine,
beer.
right? And then they realized that just like Anheuser-Busch did with Michelob and Michelob Dark and Michelob Bock, they weren't going to make the money on those beers that they're making on the crappier stuff. This company realized that they can put out all of this to Schaefer and all the other beers, for a fraction of the price that they're putting out these Valentines for, and still get the nostalgic buyer for it. So
Right.
I think that's where it went. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, but I don't think it
Nostalgic / hipster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the hipster beer is the PBR, and as long as we're talking about resurrections,
Yeah.
wasn't it? What was PBR responsible for resurrecting? Was it the Twinkie?
I don't
Yes.
Yeah, it was the Twinkie.
Yes. Twinkie. Yep.
The hostess had discontinued the Twinkie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It wasn't going to go anywhere, and then for some reason, PBR decided to resurrect the Twinkie. So now, because there's already, a couple of hundreds of thousands out there that will never go bad. So let's make more.
So that's my point, though. I mean, Hostess decided to stop making the Twinkie. They could have just stopped making the Twinkie for 50 years, and there would have been plenty of Twinkies left for everybody to buy.
It's just like Spam. I mean,
they didn't stop selling it; they just stopped making it.
I think Hormel.
I heard that Spam made like a rebirth. Like it's.
I've seen
There's been a
advertisements.
lot of.
Oh, I love Spam.
It's huge. Spam's, yeah.
It's huge in Hawaii, and word has it that Hormel has announced that they're actually making their second batch of it.
Second batch
next year.
And it was big after the war because
they started making it in the early 70s.
No,
actually, it was probably the early 1870s.
No, they were making it for the Second World War, right?
Yes, they were. So
Spam was around. Spam was around the 30s and 40s. Yeah,
but that's why it's big in Hawaii. Because you think about the whole Pacific Theater was the logistics went through Honolulu.
Right.
So after the war, there was so much Spam left over in Hawaii that the Hawaiians really took to it. And one of their favorite dishes, it's like sushi, but it's sashimi. It's like Spam sashimi. It's you take a bunch of rice, you put a piece of Spam on it, and you put a wrap of seaweed around it, and they love this. This is like breakfast for them.
I want to try that.
It sounds good, doesn't it?
You know what? I mean, let's call it what it is. Like Spam is basically a distant cousin. We'll call it a distant cousin, but a cousin of pork roll.
Well, that's true.
Okay.
Tail ham, you mean?
And they put it in cans.
See, we've been over this many, many times. You got you, John. See,
no, I said it that way.
But John grew up here.
I grew up in Taylor Ham.
As Taylor Ham. I grew up in pork roll. Now I live in Taylor Ham, and John lives in pork roll.
So, there you go. North and South Jersey. So,
it's Taylor's pork roll.
It's very similar, though.
Taylor pork, yeah, but it is. Yes, it's very similar. But that's the thing. John Taylor invented pork roll like probably 40 years before Spam came out. So Spam is basically ripping off pork roll. I guess when the patent ended, when everybody else could make it, they didn't want to make something pork roll. They made Spam.
And what? The biggest
and put it in a can.
In a can instead of a skin.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think
that's a big difference when you're fighting in the Pacific Theater.
But let's talk about
needed it.
Right.
It'll the fact that the emails none of us want to read are not called pork roll or Taylor ham. They're called Spam. So
I'm gonna start calling. Yes, I'm gonna check. Hold on. Let me check my pork roll folder.
You know,
That's a really good point right there.
Yeah, it's a very good
something
point.
that nobody wants, but you know what? I don't care. I like spam.
when you're in the mud getting shot at by the Japanese, spam probably is like the best meal you
Absolutely.
ever had.
Anything.
Well, I remember from MASH, the show MASH, I remember Hawkeye making spam parmesan.
Yes.
Oh.
And now we're
I don't
back to Scott
remember that
Wells.
episode, but I feel like
Yeah,
I
really.
saw all those episodes, but I don't
Oh, yeah.
remember.
Yeah,
MASH
he
was my
had
favorite
it.
show.
Yeah, spam parmesan. It was or he had one of the cooks in the kitchen make him spam parmesan or whatever. And then I forget the whole premise. I think it was one of the guys that was fighting and got hurt, and they operated on him, and he was in the at the MASH unit, and they found out he was a chef. So they asked him to, go in the kitchen and what could they make? And they were making spam parmesan. They made a bunch of stuff with spam. And then he got discharged, and he went back and he's like, no, they wanted to keep their chef in house.
Right.
Would you bread the spam?
I have no idea.
Guess you'd have to. You'd
I
have
don't-
to
if
bread
it was
it.
me, I'd form it in the shape of meatballs and make it like a meatball.
There you go.
Meatball parm sub.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's an
I don't
interesting
know.
thing. We need to make this and bring it to Scott.
We need to make a spam parmesan
And
sandwich.
put it in
that's
a
great,
beer.
Yeah, he'll
Exactly.
hate us forever. So I'm on to my second beer, John.
Yeah, I was going to say let's talk about beer for a minute here.
Yeah.
Not a spam talk.
I poured my
What's your-
second IPA.
what's your second?
I've had this on the show before. The Root and Branch Eyes Without a Face.
Root and Branch is it's very good beer. I had it on the show too.
Yes, and a nod to Mr. Billy Idol.
Yep.
I guess. But yeah, no, this is
Looks
a good
that
one.
way. That's good. So, all right.
Oh, Eric escaped.
Eric.
Yeah, I
Eric
think he
just
went to refill.
he went to refill. All right, so I'll ask you, Heidi. When
Hey, he's back
Oh, wait.
there.
He was. Oh no,
Oh,
he
it's in a
did
minute.
answer.
Oh
Okay,
my
yeah.
God, that flag is a lot larger than I thought it was.
oh yeah,
It's huge. So it's actually you can't see the whole thing, but like our and I don't think
It's like a
John,
sail from
you
the
haven't
ship.
been to this location, right?
No,
I've
I've
been.
been there. I've
Oh,
been
you
there,
know-
but I don't think I've been there since the flag was there. I've seen the bar
Okay.
with a phenomenal masthead.
Yeah, no, it had the sale from the time we opened. Actually,
yeah. It was there
I
from day
I
one.
just don't remember it.
yeah, it's like I don't know, 18 feet across or something.
I guess it's because with you guys sitting here, it looked like it was it looked like this wall was
Right.
actually only about 5
Like right,
feet
well, it does
behind
like
it.
perspective. It looked like
Yeah.
it was right behind you.
And then all of a sudden, Eric's about big back there
Yeah.
waving at us. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my God, that's the back wall. It's
Yeah.
way back there.
Yeah.
You gotta love
And then
it.
of course the bar is shaped like the Viking longship, with
Yes.
the dragon's head. and
Oh,
the dragon's-
your bar is one of my favorite bars.
Oh, yeah.
It,
I was-
it creation.
I got to say, I was at your opening day at the original location. I was at your
Same here.
I was at your last day. Gene and I and Jess were at your last day at the original location. I was not at your opening day at this location.
Well, you should be happy about that, actually. It was supposed to be a soft opening, and too many people found out,
right.
and it was a shit show. Yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah, it was-
Well,
huge shit
your initial opening, it was a snowstorm.
yes, it
Yeah.
was.
Yes.
And it was still like 500 people, which was
Mhm.
we were not
We
favorites.
were-
Everybody told us, "Oh, craft beer in Sussex County. Good luck with that."
Other
But-
than John's crew, my crew, and Brian Cass's crew, I really was convinced that the rest of it was your family.
Mhm.
No, we don't have family here.
Ah,
I'm from Maine and Eric's from Arizona. We have zero family here. And
how can
There
you?
were some
Okay,
of my
so,
lost friends and stuff. But
Yeah.
so Eric, you said you're from Flagstaff.
right.
I love Flagstaff. I
Mm-hmm.
love Maine. Why the hell would either of you come from either of those gorgeous places and wind up in Jersey?
I got lost on the turnpike.
You got off the wrong exit.
No, like basically it was just kind of
jobs.
post college.
Makes sense.
Rutgers, Newark had a pretty good law program without. They gave you like in-state tuition after 6 months,
Yeah.
and 6 months being in school.
Right.
Not like you had to be here prior. So I didn't want to be beholden to joining a big firm and, working in the library for 90 hours a week to pay off my law school loan. So,
True.
it seemed like a good idea. And then I realized ever since that they do that because you're going to take the bar probably in New York and New Jersey.
Right.
And then you end up here, and then you pay the property taxes that kept the law school.
Yes, property taxes suck.
I paid it either way.
One way or the other is being paid, right?
This,
Exactly.
well, this
Pay one
begs
way or the other.
two questions. Question number one: how did someone from down east meet someone from the high desert?
Colby College.
I picked her up on the corner at college.
That's true.
She was standing.
I was not working the corner. Okay, let's clarify that. I was not working the corner.
He was.
But it was a corner.
I was a freshman and had no alcohol, and we found a group of people who had alcohol.
Oh, so you had one of those vans say, "We have alcohol."
Uh,
Just lured them right in. That's
I had the
he had a
Poland
dirt.
Springs vodka. Yes, they made vodka at one time. I don't know
Yeah.
if they still do. Terrible stuff in a plastic bottle, so you can just squeeze it out to get it out faster.
Oh, lovely.
okay.
And I had Poland Springs fruit punch, which was even worse because it tasted
was
a little like,
Adirondack.
or Adirondack fruit
Adirondack
punch,
fruit punch.
which
Ooh.
tasted a little like bubblegum.
Yeah, it definitely did.
All right.
But, you know, I was a senior. I had the vodka and the bubblegum fruit punch in my backpack, and
That's how we met.
literally our two groups met. And Heidi said, "Who has the alcohol?" I said, "I do."
So you opened up a brewery to keep her drunk so she can't wake up. from
Well,
it.
so the funny story is when we were in college, a group of our friends, we got engaged my sophomore year, and a group of our friends, Eric's friends, said once they get sober, they're going to hate each other. The joke is on them that we never got sober. So
Yes, that's
There
the
you
key.
okay, it worked out.
So yes, and it continues to. There you go.
Recipe for a good marriage.
Exactly. All right. So
Recipe for a good marriage:
Right.
water, malts, hops, and yeast.
That's right.
Got it.
All right. When did you decide that this is what you're going to do?
And,
You
and
wanna-
apply liberally.
Okay.
Yes.
Of course. I think it goes without saying.
Decide what we wanted to do.
Open the
So-
brewery. Yeah. When did you? Where were you? What were you doing? When did you make that decision? Hey, let's open this brewery.
Well, I had a job that was, I don't know who's listening. So I had a job that was not
Nobody
right.
Nobody's
for me.
listening. You're good.
And I was also kind of getting to that point where I didn't want to listen to the man anymore. I think,
Fair enough.
There's the point we all reached.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just that's a common occurrence in this industry, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So but I was I'm a biochemist, and so I was working in a job in that field in a small place up here in Sussex County, and getting paid like a quarter of what I got paid right out of college working for Merck. So it was not cool.
No.
But
But it was close.
it was close, and there was a light commute. So Eric I think had the insight to realize my displeasure of the situation and started.
And she was also, we were brewing 2 batches, 5-gallon batches on Saturday, and then we'd wake up and she'd be like, on Sunday, be like, "Hey, so we're gonna brew?"
Yeah. So
Like,
the one
okay.
the one wonderful thing about this, well, there were a couple good things. I shouldn't say that. They were good people and stuff, but the great thing about this job is I was right around the corner from a home brew supply shop. So on my way home, I would stop there and I just kind of buy one of everything, and then I always had
Nice.
like inventory.
Which
Dave used to do the
supply-
same thing at a beer store. Buy one of
Okay.
everything.
What do you mean used to?
That's true.
Where was that beer supply store?
The one in Lafayette on Route 15.
that's
which
what I figured,
now
yeah.
is the CBD shop, I think.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So,
And I wonder if they've switched to take the whole switch over.
I
now that
know.
it's gotten
I know
legal.
they're working on the dispensary thing. I don't know where they've gotten with that.
okay.
I was just talking with
Yeah.
one of the owner's friends just the other day, and yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen.
Yeah, I figured if you were up there, that was the shop that you went to.
Yeah.
Because it's either that or run down to Booton.
Right. Yeah, you had to go to Booton.
Well, and for a while there was Warren in Hackettstown with a homebrew university, and he always had a good supply.
Sure.
But Booton was closer.
Now he's doing his own thing.
Yeah. So when did so how long was it between making the decision, okay, let's open this brewery, to actually opening it?
It was like less than a year. It was ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah, in retrospect, it was completely like naive and stupid. But here we are.
It was.
So,
It was.
I guess it wasn't that.
I
stupid.
remember it was St. Patrick's.
Wasn't that stupid? No.
It was St. Patrick's Day weekend in 2013, and Eric said, "Let's do this." And I looked it over. He's like, "Why don't you?" And I was like, "I need to think about this," but it's like, well, why the hell not? And I had originally, been in culinary school in Manhattan, and thought I was going to open a catering business. But once the laws changed in 2012, this became far more approachable. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, this is fun. This is what we do on the weekends for fun anyway. So why not make a business of it? So that was March 2013. In May, Eric filed the business registration. In June or July, he submitted the TTB and the ABC applications, which I think we still hold the record for in New Jersey for the fastest TTB application approved.
Well, considering you open in the next February, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still yelled at the ABC director when he came to one of the guild meetings.
Now, if you remember earlier, I said that what you were talking about begged two questions.
Yes.
And this transfers directly into that second question. Biochemist, culinary. Heidi, you make sense coming into a brewery. Eric, law school. The fuck? What? So, you go from a law degree,
rugby, drinking beer, then law school.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the Mr. Beer kit was Heidi got from me.
It's amazing how often Mr. Beer is mentioned on this program.
It's it's the easiest small way to start, and then plus we were in New York at the time, so we didn't have any space for a 5-gallon system, or you couldn't
right.
had a 10-gallon brew pot, and I mean, I guess you could, but you might burn the building down. Pre-war building, so everybody will die. There's no.
We could have brewed on the roof. Good,
yeah,
16.
Sure, you could have done it. Yeah,
you could have done that.
It's a tar roof. It would have lit on fire probably.
Yep.
You got that comment, John?
Yeah, I got it. I was going to say it before he said it because I knew damn well Brian started with one too. Yeah,
because he was one of the ones on the show that mentioned the Mr. Beer.
Yeah.
But so I started brewing because she was cooking all the time, and then she slowly just kind of was I'm following the recipe. I'm like, no, we've got to do it by the recipe. We've never done this before. And then I'd look over and she'd added something to it. And, I'd be kind of upset at first and then realize, she kind of knew what she was doing. Yeah. So what I do here to answer your question is, other than what we lovingly call the legalish department, where there's a lot of regulation. Yeah, so I do a lot of that.
Which in Maine, you wouldn't need a legalish department to own a brewery, but in New Jersey, you do.
You kind of do.
So I do all the legal work.
Almost anything goes in Maine, yes.
And I do kind of all the plumbing, electrical, construction. You need some stairs put in.
Who made the bar?
Eric.
I made it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's being modest. He also cleans toilets.
I also clean toilets from time to time. Yeah.
No, I wanted to ask a question
He is above me.
because I knew that Eric had made the bar, and I wanted to brag about it a little bit. Hopefully, before we're done here, are you on a laptop?
Yeah, we can probably walk and.
Yeah, so because I would love for our viewers to see this bar. It is just an amazing bar, but we'll get to that point.
And I also put in 1,583 square feet of flooring upstairs because we were out of money, and I was the installer, so and all the baseboard for that, and
So that was the second time we were out of
Done a
money
lot of
in
construction.
opening a brewery. So
Yeah, the first time was the first day when we went in and realized we needed money for a drawer.
for petty cash, that was
There you go.
amazing. Like we literally, like we only had 2 beers, and the reason we had to open, like this is back in 2014. The reason we had to open was because there was like $300 left in our bank account at that point.
Mhm.
Woof.
So we were eating ramen noodles and peanut butter sandwiches.
So those were 3-ball porter and revolve, right?
Correct.
Those 2
Yeah.
beers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember them.
The Amber Revol was our first beer because we figured as you upscale from 5 gallons to 310 gallons,
Mhm.
sometimes the hops, you have to back off the hop additions because it'll be too hoppy.
Sure.
But an amber ale that's a little too hoppy is going to be kind of an American amber,
Right.
as opposed to like a Irish or something. And then if it's a little under hop, it's going to be fine too, And until you do that first beer on the new system, you really don't know exactly what your hop efficiency is going to be, what your malt efficiency is going to be.
Oh, one of my favorite
You
words.
need that one to do the math for all the rest.
One of my favorite words. You don't know what your flocculation will be.
Flocculation.
I love that word. Sounds dirty, but it's.
It's funny because I use that word all the time, but I've never thought of it in that context until the way you said it, and I was like, "Oh, I know."
Yeah, you got to put an intonation.
Dave's full of flocculations.
So having to do all this construction work is why you're angry?
Yes, I made the bar at the old place, the bar at the new place.
No,
half the tables at the old place.
it was really the Bronx DA's office that made it.
I was going to say that's.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, the true story is I got that nickname, sort of. So basically, you had one day off from being in court at the Bronx DA's office.
Right.
And that's the day you had to do all your paperwork, call witnesses, get them ready for trial, do everything. And this is when you're a young DA in the criminal division.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had a case on in one of the courts, other people were standing on it, other prosecutors, ADAs. And if the judge didn't like your plea and wanted to get rid of the case so that they could move their calendar, they'd call you down on your one day off and make you sit there and stuff. And like, they didn't know anything about the case. They just heard what the defense attorney said. And, in fairness to the ADA standing on it, they knew what you wrote, but they don't know the nitty gritty details. So they'd call me up, and apparently, I don't really believe this is true. I think I'm being framed, but I would respond a little negatively to that and say things like, what does he want or she want? They don't understand this case. I shouldn't have to come down there and waste my time. And then I'd come down and they'd hang up the phone that they just used to call me and say, Angry Erik's coming down.
Yeah.
Just to each other, not to the judge. And then I'd come down and yell at the judge, or,
I was kind of hoping you got that.
Yell at me and I yell back.
There you go.
I was kind of hoping you got that nickname on the rugby field.
No,
you don't want to know that nickname.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Now we do.
Yeah, we absolutely do.
But,
So what was
is this FCC rules? Like, what are we dealing with?
Oh no, you can.
Oh no, you can
have
haul
at it.
off.
Have at it.
No, we're not telling my nickname. So I got nicknamed by a senior who thought it was funny to give everybody really bad, dirty nicknames.
Oh God, now we really want to hear it.
Now we really need to know. So,
But it didn't. So I will say, like, there were a lot of people on that rugby team who that nickname might have made sense for, but it didn't really make sense for Eric.
gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, intrigued, but
It was a misnomer.
Keep your secrets. John has moved on to a second beer, and it looks like a Schwartz.
Nope, it's actually a dark English mild.
Oh, that's right. You went to the mild.
I went to the mild next, London Crawling, one of my
This is
my
one of
favorite
John's
beers.
favorite beers on the
It's from
planet.
Pittsburgh, yeah, from Grist House
like
Brewing.
can
Right
art.
there.
It's nice can art.
I
Yeah.
switched
Yes.
over to dark as well.
Nice.
It's almost gone now,
Very
but
nice.
that's a
Shadow Warrior.
Shadow Warrior. So it's
Shadow
a-
Warrior.
I do like Shadow
I
Warrior.
like
Call it
Shadow
like an American
Black Ale.
black ale because it's
Sure.
kind of extra hoppy, like an IPA sort of, but has not like an IPA, but
It's
it's
kind of like
hoppy
a
mixed
black
with
version of a pale ale as opposed to an IPA. is how I would-
Okay.
Gotcha.
yeah.
And there
What do
wasn't
they
a
call them?
category for it at the time, really, so we kind of took the liberty.
No, it's not a black IPA; it's a black pale ale.
Yeah,
so
black
we call it
IPA
dark
is
black ale.
contradictory,
Right.
right? I've heard them
Right.
called Cascadian ales, but
Cascadian
not everyone
dark
uses
ale, right.
Cascades.
Yes,
in it.
correct. And
And-
but at the time, nobody out here knew what those were. Maybe out in Washington, they know,
Right.
but like
Right.
nobody knew what that was. So we
Right.
just made it simpler.
Exactly.
And then
Um,
I just got a new beer, which is of my favorite that we make, and maybe my favorite ever, actually. And I'm not trying to be biased. It's just the Viva Verde, the jalapeno IPA.
There
I
you
don't.
go.
I've not had that one,
It's
and I
like.
love habanero.
It does. Jalapeno.
Did you
You
try
need to
our?
have it.
Did
Say
you try
jalapeno?
the
Oh,
mango?
Jalapeno.
Did you try the mango habanero beer that we make? The mango chambo?
I think I have.
Right.
Because that one, those two beers, they fly off the shelf. Like
Oh no!
they-
Wait a second. I have had Viva Verde. I lied.
There you go. You did lie.
I did lie.
This beer is. I love this beer. I'm sorry.
Luckily,
It's
you
it's
have
of my
not been
favorites.
sworn in, so
Yes,
This is true.
clear.
Thank you.
Well,
Captain.
he didn't lie in the beginning of the show, and he probably should have. But anyway,
Probably should have. No, because otherwise I would have had to have drank that.
this is true.
Cheers, Gene.
Gene Lynch says hello. Cheers,
Oh, there's more wildlife has entered into your compound
Yes.
there.
Gene. He's wandered in.
Hey, Gene, moo.
Moo, yes, moo. We'll tell you later. Anyway, all right. So you're in 2014. You guys open up.
Yep.
And 2019, you move.
Yep.
Okay. What was beyond? What was behind that? Was it the one in more space? What were some
Other
of
than the fact that you could, the little area I've set up around me is almost the size of your tap room in the old space.
That's true. It was small. There were neighborly issues as well. Like, it wasn't like Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
It's more like Mr. Robinson's neighborhood.
Yeah. the guy there.
One of our
So-
neighbors had rented 3/4 of the building, and we were the last quarter.
Mhm.
And
Ooh.
if he were a dog, he would have peed on every corner of the
He
building.
might have.
Yeah.
He might have
Might
even,
have done
like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
And then,
you
like,
know,
one day he cut off the gas line because it went through his unit
in winter,
in winter. It was like the coldest day of the year. It was January, and I was sick as a dog. And so we had to go up there and sleep there and bring all of our space heaters and the dogs, of course, to try to generate more heat.
Oh,
And
and you've got 3 dogs, so that becomes
Yeah.
a 3-dog night. That's awesome.
yeah.
That's actually where the name of the band comes from. Is
It
having,
is. Nobody knows that. It's a little known fact, but that night is where it comes from. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
There you go.
So yeah, it was a rocky relationship. So
Sounds like he was a dickhead.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
Putting it
And that's
mildly.
why we couldn't ever have Wi-Fi there because he wouldn't let us run the internet lines through his unit.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? It was a good move. I mean, you were there 5
Yes.
years, but it was a good
Yeah.
move.
So you
Yeah.
may you may owe him for making you move.
Yeah.
Hey, well, that's true.
You've
that's
got
true.
a beautiful.
All things
place
happen
now.
for a reason. So yeah.
We'll say that if we had been there during the pandemic, we probably would not have survived.
Yeah.
Whereas here, where we had established the beer garden and a big enough space to have like the spaced out tables, regardless of what people think about that whole thing, like we were able to survive. Like
Sure.
we thought it sucked. Like it was terrible.
And it was only
Right.
what? Like it was only like 6 or 8 months after you opened in
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that
exactly.
was the
And so it
pandemic.
was a
then we're
struggle.
only going to be closed, 1 month, they said, and then
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Two weeks.
2 weeks to flatten the curve. 2
Yeah.
Flatten the
Well,
curve, and
right,
then it turned into
2 years.
or something. Yeah.
2 years. Well, because most people didn't listen and do what they're supposed to, but on the other hand, they underestimated what was coming.
Right.
Yeah.
They did, and we also, let's be fair. Nobody knew what was going on at the beginning. Like
Right.
everybody's like, just wash hands, that'll be fine.
Oh yeah.
Like no,
Yeah.
everybody underestimated, but it's
Exactly.
easy to play Monday night quarterback. So
Exactly.
So, Eric, did you pour another swag?
no, I went with a tongue-tied troll,
Tongue-tied
dear
troll.
Lord, in that size class.
usually served in a 12 glass.
I'll be putting him to bed.
There you go.
What is the ABV on that tongue-tied troll there?
8.1,
Well, I
which
think
isn't that bad, but
No.
considering I know what he's had up until now,
So now, right?
and how
Exactly.
many
Yeah.
he's going to have after this, it might.
You
might-
don't know
might
what the
get
future
bad.
holds.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just well, he beat me because I just opened a 7.5.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Well, here, my first one was 5 even. My second one that I'm drinking now is 3.7.
Oh,
Yeah, so he's staying
you're
low.
a
But
lightweight. You got
I'm
to
staying-
catch up with the rest of us.
Staying low tonight, right?
I moved over to a burial IPA.
Mhm.
Where's that out of?
That is out of Asheville. Carrie and I were in Asheville in August, mid-August.
Mhm.
So I want to see if there's been any hop fade in this. This is a Tonin the Destroyer. It is a collab with Rios Brewing.
Rios. Yeah, Rios.
Rios Brewing. And I remember this fresh was fantastic.
Mhm.
There's really not a lot of hop fade in this. That's
Good.
Very
That's
nice.
really good.
Very nice.
And what is Gene drinking, John?
Gene is drinking a swag right now.
Yeah.
Cheers, Gene, for drinking.
Cheers, Gene.
Cheers,
Drinking
buddy.
swag. Cheers. There you go. So, all right.
Yeah, it's as we work through like canning and everything, like we haven't seen a lot of hot fade until you get beyond 6 months, really. But even
Well-
we've had some stuff that's a year old and it's been fine.
We actually opened up.
So-
Eric's drinking the tongue-tied troll, which is a double IPA. And it, other than the haze settling out,
Yeah.
we opened one that was 2 years old last
Yeah.
week, and you could tell there was a little bit of, like you say, hop fade. So so the malt, and not even the malts come forward so much. It's just a little bit more sweetness because of the higher alcohol.
There's no DO or anything like that?
No,
No.
Really?
Nice.
it was fantastic. I mean, it's
Not to pat ourselves on the back. But
No, but
No, but that's awesome.
I was shocked. I couldn't. I couldn't believe it tasted that good. Now I wouldn't say it tasted like it does when it's fresh. And the fresh beers, you're talking 3 weeks, you get that freshly canned flavor, and then it changes. And it doesn't
Right.
change to be bad. It
Yes,
just does
It's
change.
different.
it's not
Yes.
as bright. And
Yeah.
Yeah, like this was canned in July. I had one right after we got back in mid-August. So it was a month old at that time.
Right.
And it was good and fresh, had a great hop character. Now we're in mid-October. So now doing
4
the math,
Yeah.
three,
Right.
August,
Is that it?
September, October, 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 3. And what actually I'm getting out of this is I'm getting a bigger malt character out of it.
yeah.
Nice.
And it's not because the hops have faded. I just think the malts have accentuated, which is
So I have noticed that with aged beers, I get this flavor I describe as a honey malt flavor.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's how I can kind of guess how old they are.
Nice.
So Gene had actually sent us a picture of what he's.
Hold on. I'm putting it up right now.
Oh, you're putting it up. Okay, so I don't need to do that.
You don't need to do that.
Yeah, he texted John and I what he's drinking, so you'll be able to see this better on the screen than me holding my phone up to the camera. So we're in the 21st century.
21st century. Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. There
That
we
took
go.
There it
me
is.
a little bit.
Drink a swig, and there's us in the background.
Nice. Like
and if you go on Untapped, I'm pretty certain that'll be the picture you will
That
see.
was probably the picture that he's putting up. Right?
If he bothers to check it in again, because I'm sure he's checked it in many times.
He checks him in again. So
Yeah, he does.
anyway, all right. So, what's some of the stuff you're brewing right now? What's other than what you've already talked about?
right. So actually, so growing pains. You know, we have a bigger system now, or the ability to brew in 20 barrels. Still have our
You have a 10-barrel brew house, but
correct. We have our original brew house, but we have 20 barrel fermenters now. And so it's kind of, we still like to do our fun / experimental things like, you know, Mary Shroom and
I loved that beer.
yeah, thanks. And Viva Verde, which the cult followers love it, but then there are other people who won't even try it, you know. So things like that. We like to do those kind of on the 10-barrel size, but we have the ability to do bigger batches.
Sure.
But our walk-in is a set size, you know, so
you can only brew so much beer. Exactly.
pegging and canning off one batch takes up a lot of space until it's gone, you know, and until it's gone might be 2 weeks, it might be 4 weeks, like we don't know, you know. And so it's hard to predict and balance and guesstimate and all those things. So
this is a long way of saying we just built a new building basically and realized we didn't make it big enough.
Yeah.
What we could afford. So,
right. So one of the things that happened is Revol, which we talked about before, which is the first beer we ever brewed.
And that's evolved through the years, has it not? A little bit.
So
yeah.
I do that a lot with a lot of the beers. And,
as you should.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, I tell people it's like the clothing industry. Like fads change, styles change, people's flavor styles change. I just tweak it a little bit, you know, to keep it up to date.
Yeah.
And if I tweak it a little bit, I don't even like announce that.
Sure.
If I tweak it a lot, I'll call it like Hop the Fence version, you know,
version 2, version 3, version
right, exactly, you know, kind of thing. But so Revol is coming back, and it's been more than 2 years since we've had Revol. So I'm really excited about that coming back. But we do, you know, every year we do a whole bunch of new beers. We have one coming up called I Squared, which is going to feature Idaho Gem hops and Idaho 7 hops.
Where's the Q come from? It's
I times I is I squared.
Math, as opposed to written out.
Yeah.
No.
She loves
there is like one rule on this show. What is it, Johnny?
No math.
No
math.
No math.
I love
Zero math.
We're not allowed to math on this show.
So we actually have.
It was my understanding there would be no math.
Yeah.
It was my.
So we actually do trivia here the second Thursday of every month, and Eric and I write the questions. Nice. And it started out with me writing most of the questions, and then sometimes I'm way too busy, and Eric will help me out. And he does a lot of the questions now, and you know, do it teamwork style. And Eric asked last month, he's like, I have a category. Oh, sorry. So let me back up. So when we do trivia, we have each round, there's 4 rounds. Each round has a theme. So the 4 questions in each round are linked together by theme. So you can get additional points if you can guess the theme that links those questions together. It's just kind of a penny to get more points, you know.
Like it, guys. Nice.
And Eric's like, I have a root category, but I need one more question. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. What is the square root of negative 169?
Negative 169?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
It's
no.
13,
I know.
You have to have the I because it's an imaginary number. I don't know how a number is imaginary, but.
All right. Sorry. No more math. We're done.
No more math. No more math. We've gotten into one of the many imaginary numbers out there.
Exactly.
But while people were trying to figure that out, I played
like,
Chevy Chase skit from SNL where he was asked a series of incredibly difficult like questions about math and budgeting, and then he just replies, "It was my understanding there would be no
math. Right.
You had to follow that up, however, with Rodney Dangerfield
And back to school.
going. What was the number he put out?
It was, well, he said at the end of it, it was 4.
4? Yes.
Yes. So I have one question for Mr. Mellon. In 27 parts. So, anyway. Anyway. All right. So, all right, what's your reach right now, as far as distro?
We still are pretty, for the most part, like 78.
Route 78.
Route 78 North. We will go down to New Brunswick. We do go down near Princeton.
Well, you got to get to Rutgers, yes.
For good accounts, yeah, down there. Like we definitely will make those trips.
It's good drinking down there.
But we still are self-distributing,
Sure.
and so
We don't really have sales. So.
What he means is we don't have a sales department.
Right.
We don't have sales. We don't have a sales department.
So we're kind of.
I say you have sales.
like
People buy the beer.
Right.
We still only have 9 people working for us.
And
a herd of cows.
We started, we're all word of mouth. We're kind of still that. We have a salesperson who goes out 1.5 days a week. So
You
should increase that.
You should hire Gene Lynch to go out and sell for you.
Gene.
Yes.
Yes, Gene would be.
Gene's the guy. Gene's the guy.
He's your guy.
You do a good job.
Yeah.
And he's still watching, so definitely comment on
You can
that.
talk to anybody.
and after about 17 beers, he has a mouth.
Yeah.
Up until
We will pay you in beer.
he'll definitely work for beer. Up until 12, he tends to be a little quiet, but
Right.
He already put in his notice to his insurance company.
He's already, he's
like, I'm done with claims.
Finally get right now.
Beer now.
He's there.
Don't tell my wife.
It's gonna be a knock on the door in a minute. It's gonna be him saying, when do I start?
You'll have a knock on your door in like 3 months. It'll be Kristen going, "Stop it."
Yes.
Anyway, there's a comment. Here we go. Yes, I will work for beer, he said.
Wait a second. Put that back up there again.
Oh, then.
Gene has hair in that picture. How old?
That's a very old picture.
A very old picture.
A very old picture. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that's at least 10 years old, that picture.
Yeah, but he looks good, hair or no hair.
Of
He
course.
does.
He looks like Gene, hair or no hair. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's always Gene.
Gene is Gene. So.
He's always my big teddy bear.
Big
Exactly.
hair, yep.
All right. Any events coming up?
Well, the month of October, we're at lunch.
Not necessarily counting to your 25. I just mean, are you doing any events?
Oh.
Oh.
So the month of October,
We
we're
hope
at
the
Lunch
ABC is listening.
Farms every weekend, depending on the weather, either Friday or Saturday.
Sure.
That's right around the corner on Route 94. It's about 12 minutes from here or something like that.
Thank goodness, because
Yeah, we went there on Saturday. Well, so we went 2 weeks, right? So the first weekend, and we had never done this before with them. This is the first year they were bringing in beer, and first night we sold 30 beers, and it was dead. And then apparently the next day they were slammed. Of course, just bad luck.
as you'd
for
expect.
which day?
Right.
And so they're like, well, will you still come back? I'm like, yeah, of course I'll come back. This the first time you do something, it's a building thing. You have
Sure.
to give it time. Of course I'll come back. So we went on Saturday, and I was like, well, we only need one person. It's kind of slow. I'll just go by myself. I was
Famous last words.
Yeah.
and I'm like, and how do I take a pee break? This is confusing. And
And she's texting me, "Hey, bring beer from the brewery." So I brought 3 more cases, and
I know we needed 12 more cases. So it was good. Obviously, but
good problem to have.
good problem to have. Yeah,
Yes.
it just was we after the first time we weren't prepared for that. So, but,
Gotcha.
So yeah, they're doing their haunted hay rides and corn maze and now there's beer involved.
It's that time of year.
It is that time of year.
And at our brewery, most Sundays we have live music and occasionally food trucks come. We can't coordinate with them.
All
so.
approved by the ABC.
They may or may not show up.
I don't know that they're coming, but sometimes they show up.
Sometimes they show up. We don't know.
Quite honestly, sometimes they don't. They
Well, that's true.
they know they're coming and they don't. So like you really can't.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely not coordinated.
We have no idea.
Yeah.
Is this live stream?
This is live, yes.
Oh yeah. Well, they won't be watching it. It's after 5.
No, they're not. Yeah.
No, well,
After 4:30.
we actually, John and I always hope that the ABC is actually watching,
Right.
because one, that means people are paying attention,
That's true.
and two, we get on their case so often about their stupidity and the unfairness of them that we hope they're listening, hear the message, and understand that they've made some really stupid decisions.
But they don't care. So the ABC as a unit,
This is true.
the people are most people, while they may be really committed to their job and do a great job at their job,
No.
don't. Listen.
She did use the word may.
She's
work
being
time
she's
4:30.
being
Hear me out.
With a few smoking breaks and lunch.
Okay, well, what I'm gonna say is they might do a great job at their job, but their job is to follow the rules that are set by their hierarchy.
By their boss. Yeah.
Right.
who's an ass.
And right. So that's the problem.
Okay.
So it's not, the people who
I get
work for the ABC. It's,
It's,
so.
But
it's one guy.
It's that ass hat that we
and
hope
he
is
has
listening.
he has complete
control
power,
for
control,
some autonomy.
If there's not complete autonomy, if there's not a law on the books, he can make up whatever he wants.
Yeah, every law ends with, and the ABC shall have the power to enact for the regulations.
And the ABC should have the power to enact and defend AB InBev. I mean, the Restaurant Association.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you want to hear a funny story? So, like, we submitted for the exact same event 4 weeks in a row, and the response came back. We got approved for all of them, but they were all different responses, like different conditions, even though it was exactly the same application. I literally cut and pasted.
Which means you got 4 different people respond to you.
Yeah. So I'm like, why? Why?
Yeah.
Not as bad as the TTB when we were sending in label approvals for the first time, by the way. That old TTB, where they told us, first they asked when we submitted Fjord Crosser, what language is that?
That's my favorite beer that you make, by the way.
That's English.
It's
Like, I don't know how to say it in a nice way. It's
English?
It's croissant kind of English. It didn't originate here, but it is in
It's
the
English,
dictionary now.
yeah.
Yeah.
No word originated here unless it's Native American.
Right. Yeah. Here's my favorite part. Here, quick TTB story. All right.
Well, John tells a story. I've got to go grab something. I'll be back.
Go grab something. Go ahead. Quick TTB story.
I have to leave too.
Okay. So I'll tell you, Heidi. There you go.
Okay. Well,
Okay,
I'm sure Eric can hear you though.
So anyway, you submit a label that has New England IPA on it. You can't say New England IPA because it's not. If it's in New Jersey, it's not brewed in New England. It has to be a New England style IPA.
Correct. And you can't actually say IPA. You have to say India Pale Ale.
India Pale Ale. India Pale Ale.
Correct. Yes.
So anyway, you submit a label for a Vienna lager. You have to say a Vienna style lager because it's not brewed in Vienna.
Yeah.
Moron. It's not a Vienna lager because it's brewed in Vienna. It's a Vienna lager because it uses Vienna malt.
Correct. I agree. And we have had so many arguments with them that are just asinine. Like, that's the only way.
And
to
I
describe
wish
it.
we printed them out because I really wanted to put them on like the restroom, like the like urinal and stuff.
Right.
But they deleted him.
Well, so here's
They had them for a while, and like we got to the point where they said, "Do not reply without fixing this," because we were arguing with them so much.
and
You're
they
getting
only
angry,
allow
Eric?
so many characters. So if you argue too many words, then
they
Lose your argument and
they
have to
don't
re-
approve your argument.
Correct. And then you have to start over again.
Right.
Yeah. But my favorite story with them is so the Dainty Viking. So that's a elderflower blonde ale that we make, and probably one of our we're probably one of the beers we're most known for. That and H2Ale, Viva Verde, and Hopana. Yeah. But anywho, there's a couple others. So in the description of the flavors for the label, I put flavors of, floral flavors and whatever, elderflower, but nobody knows what elderflower tastes like. So I used words to describe that. Anyway, they responded, your beer can't have flavors because you're not adding any artificial flavoring. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, seriously. Yeah. Everything
Flavors
you put in your mouth other than water should have a
flavor
that you're using to describe it.
So an orange doesn't have flavor because it's not artificial.
Correct.
No, yeah, because we didn't submit for formulary approval for our fake flavors.
Yeah.
Because we don't use fake flavors, because we never used fake flavors. Because every time I have a beer with a damn addition that's like, some sort of artificial flavor, I know damn well that they used artificial flavor because it doesn't taste right.
Right.
It's a little like cough syrup or whatever, if it's blackberry or, it just doesn't taste good.
It astounded me. I'm like, how much do you have?
You can't have flavor in your beer because you need formulary approval.
Because you didn't put any chemicals in it that throw flavor.
Right.
Well, what about the response we got about the it's a whirlpool, like a Norwegian word for whirlpool.
Maelstrom. Yes.
Maelstrom. Yes.
And so I think the original submission for a Hopana label.
I know that from Epcot.
Said like a maelstrom of flavors in your mouth.
Of hop flavors.
Right. And they said, you're deceiving the consumer because a maelstrom couldn't happen in your mouth.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Let's be honest. Who's deceiving the customer? Us saying that you're going to have a maelstrom of hops in your mouth where nobody believes a giant ocean whirlpool is going to be in your mouth. Or,
so somebody's actually going to be confused because they're
telling you that models
are
going to be all
in
over
your mouth.
Right.
Right.
Meanwhile, if you drink any major beer label, it's like, models are going to be all over you if you drink this beer.
You're going to crack that beer open all of a sudden.
If you drink Corona, Pipple's definitely going to be there.
Right.
I made a conscious decision to give up all the models to drink crap beer.
Yeah.
Because my apartment became absolutely so full of models after a while.
Yeah.
I couldn't take it anymore. I was done.
And it wasn't the cost of feeding them because they don't eat. But it was.
Well, I mean, they're constantly throwing up in the toilet, so you always have to clean the toilet. And I've had drunk friends, and they throw up less. So it's tiresome.
Well, I could have just taken stock in pork rinds because I know that's one of the big things for models.
Right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That is ridiculous.
But, you get
hilarious.
responses like that. It's just, it's beyond comical. You're just like, and of course,
and yet
because
you have to deal with it. Because without it,
you can't sell it.
Yeah.
You can't sell
you got it.
And so you're sitting there and it's always, you're a small business. So you're looking at this at 9:30, 10 at night, beers in, going, what the?
And you've got so here's one of my tricks, Eric.
Okay.
Reply to the email. Start writing it exactly what you want to say. Type all of that out, then delete it, and then start again in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the way you handle those things.
I mean, it's kind of like an outline of your thoughts before.
Yes. No, throw it all out there.
What should not be sent.
Yes. throw it all out there, type it out, get it out of your system. Then
I probably did not do that the time I got the reply back. Do not resubmit this without changing it.
So, John, where I had to go to grab something.
You went and got the pumpkin.
Yes, because it is National October Revolution Day. I had to have one. I invented the drink. I made the drink. It is the anniversary of the invention of that drink.
Mm-hmm.
So I did go and get the right infused vodka. See, that's the beautiful color that you need. And I am enjoying this, and it'll help me sleep well tonight.
There you go. Fair enough.
And I will 100% agree with you. And this has been my argument from the beginning about anything with pumpkin doesn't actually have pumpkin spice flavors, doesn't actually have pumpkin in it.
Right.
And I told people, have you ever tried pumpkin by itself, even without salt and pepper?
Oh, you wretch.
Yeah, it doesn't taste good. It has none of those flavors that you're looking for in your pumpkin spice latte. So
No, it's all about the spices. It's got nothing to do with the pumpkin. The pumpkin was really just the man telling small breweries back in Germany, you can't have any of our malt or fermentable grains,
right.
because we own the fields, so screw you because we're rich.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had to come up with something that created sugar, and pumpkin was it.
Was it in Germany that
No, it started before that. It started in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, where they had run out of all of their grains because they had to make bread with it.
I couldn't get any more.
They had to live.
I thought it was New England. Yeah.
Yeah. So the natives in the area showed them the gourds in the area. May or may not have been pumpkin. Most people believe it probably wasn't pumpkin. They used those gourds and got the soluble sugars out of them to ferment. Right. But when the Pilgrims brought in their first barley crop, they abandoned pumpkin beer because they didn't have the spices to make pumpkin spice, so it was probably god awful.
Sure.
Yeah, and it adds some sugars, but no good flavors.
And it was probably not in a gourd, probably very little sugars. And let's talk about stuck mashes, people. No.
Well, I'm pretty certain the Pilgrims did not have a whirlpool.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, a maelstrom.
Yeah, maelstrom pumpkins in your mouth, people.
I certainly hope the whirlpool that you have at your brewery, you have labeled the maelstrom.
We have not done that, but we should
do that. But yeah, no, so I'm pretty certain they didn't worry about that. They probably had it at the bottom. They probably pulled the stuff out, drained it into something else, then set it outside, because I'm not sure. Let's see, at that point, did they know about yeast?
They might have, because you're talking the
77.
You're talking the U.S.
I'm pretty certain this was the 17th century.
I don't think they did.
No, I don't think they brought a. I don't think they brought a mother across the ocean.
Later. Yeah, Louis Pasteur was a little
later. Yeah, Pasteur was 18th century, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And he's the one that made him realize yeast was a part.
Yeah, so they left that outside to ferment, let the wild yeast hit it. So with the wild yeast that were in New England at the time, granted, there was none of the industrialization that we had, so you didn't have really weird yeast. So that yeast hitting these beers, probably some good yeast in it. Yeah. But to Heidi's point, the soluble sugars out of the gourds, probably not. I can't imagine it was a high ABV.
No.
So Louis Pasteur was actually 19th century.
19th.
Yeah.
1800s. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and before that, the German purity laws at a certain point, didn't even include yeast.
No, they didn't.
They thought it was a chemical reaction.
Right.
Well, you remember, it's funny because the German purity laws specifically mentions hops, which back when those purity laws came out, the major bittering agent was something called gruit, right?
Well, no, gruit was a style of beer, and the primary done without hops. One of the only official approved beer styles today without hops, and it was done with mugwort. was a primary bittering agent. There were a couple others too.
Seeds of Paradise, I think, was one of the agents in it.
Yep.
Mugwort.
Yeah.
But the whole thing about the gruit is that the Catholic Church owned the recipe to that particular blend of bittering agents.
Okay.
So you had to, because the Catholic Church back then was all about, you need to pay us for everything that we have.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so
Right.
if
Still be like that.
yeah, so if you look at it, the Reinheitsgebot came out a year after Martin Luther nailed his treaties to the church when Germany went Protestant, and basically gave the Catholic Church the finger. So I really think the Reinheitsgebot going to hops was actually a religious decision to give the finger. To give the finger to the Catholic Church, because you had to, if you wanted the gruit to bitter your beer, you had to buy it from the Catholic Church.
Interesting.
Really?
So I really think that was
This is fascinating. Everybody should tune into this podcast. I mean that seriously, because this is interesting history you've got.
John's heard this theory from me before.
Oh yeah, no,
because I was a history major in college.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't smart
Do you
enough
have
to
a
be a
beer
lawyer.
history class?
Probably should, but I will leave that to some of our friends like Jeff Linkus, Tara Nurin.
Yeah.
John Starodomsky.
John Starodomsky, because these guys are much better spoken than I am on these, and definitely much better versed.
Well, and they get paid to research it, right?
No, John not so much. The two Johns, Hall and Starodomsky, not so much. Tara only if she sells books.
Right.
And I do recommend her book, That a Woman's Place is. Oh my God, that is a phenomenal book. I've learned so much from that book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had her on the show talking about the book too. So
she's a good person and a good writer. Yeah.
Yep.
Phenomenal writer.
Absolutely. By the way, really quick, I'm on my third beer. I opened Hackensack Brewing Autumn Wind.
That's the Schwartz beer.
It's a Schwartz beer, yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, Hackensack is good stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, based on all of that, I think that kind of leads us into our top 3 list.
No, it doesn't. Not at all.
No,
but nice try.
I tried. I made a segue out of nothing.
That is the most awkward segue we've had on the show to date.
Awkward segues. That's
it wouldn't have been awkward if you hadn't pointed it out, by the way.
It's all about pointing the truth out. That's
we call each other out on a regular basis.
Every minute.
That's what we do.
And
speak truth to power.
And that makes it fun.
Look, Gene said segue. Look at
that. He spelled it wrong, but that's beautiful.
It works all right. Which we call before he laughed at something we were talking about, so he said that.
I forget what the hell he laughed at. I remember when it came up, but I forgive him for spelling segue wrong only because I know he doesn't speak French.
True. Well, I mean, you know what? I mean, if we were spelling segue in America, that's how it would be spelled. So it's phonetically.
That's ebonics right there.
Brief intermission in the segue conversation, which is also segue related. So a good segue.
It's good.
Very
good. Very good.
Very well.
Remember when those things that you ride on aren't those called segues?
Segues, yeah.
And that might be, and I think they're spelled the way
that's spelled.
I think the way Gene is spelling it.
Yeah. That's I think so too.
Yeah, it is spelled that way.
Yeah. So Gene is on this powered 2-wheel device.
Yes, he's probably moving around Habakong right now, or wherever on his.
He's
Segway.
Up in Habakong, yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he might be somewhere else drinking, other beers.
Could be.
We don't know.
Did you see John? Have you seen the text that Gene sent us?
There was another one.
Yeah, he just sent us another one, which is the spelling of Segway, but he is looking at the spelling of Segway as far as the vehicle.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
See, I got your back, Gene. I got your back.
I want to object to this whole line. I mean, spelling should never matter.
Yeah, Eric's a horrible speller.
Listen, I was born in Norway. I grew up in
There.
I went to
Yeah.
Norway. I wrote a letter to my friend that was half Norwegian and half English. And one thing I've learned from all of that is that English doesn't make sense. It doesn't
No, it doesn't.
like
English
one of the
is
worst
spelling
languages.
English
doesn't
is
make sense in English.
English is. I've been told English is harder than Mandarin Chinese.
Is it really?
Except for the fact that in most cultures you don't have to learn a new alphabet. But the problem with English is it's based off Germanic and Romantic languages.
Mm-hmm.
It's a combination of the two, which means it doesn't never consistently follows any rule of pronunciation.
Right. Well, so like the word read, R-E-A-D, can be pronounced two different ways and mean two different things. Doesn't make sense. It shouldn't happen that way.
Because the same spelling is the past tense, but pronounced differently.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Which makes no
Exactly.
sense.
It should be redded. I redded that.
I read it.
I read it.
I read it. That.
Whatever. Like
There you go. Gene even said he knows spelling sucks.
Most of the conversations that are
Is he talking about Tory spelling?
S-U-X.
I've heard Tory spelling does suck.
I'll leave that alone.
all right. Anyway,
Right.
I think we were segueing.
I'm talking about her acting.
I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant. All right. Yes, we're segueing. So, our top threes tonight, as actually requested by Heidi, is top three favorite weird beers. Heidi, just so you know, anybody that's watches the show on somewhat of a regular basis, listens to it, knows we do a top three list because for two reasons. One, when we first started the top three list, we weren't doing guests yet. It was just Dave and I a couple of years ago. And we did two top threes. So 3-3, 1933, we were paying homage to 1933, the repeal of prohibition, right? Also, a top 10 list would take too long. So that's why we did top
Considering
three.
Our top three list
Usually gets into 4, 5, or 6. So
does not hold to 3 usually.
Right.
I'm actually holding to 3 tonight, John.
I'm holding the 3 tonight as well. I might mention something else as a joke, but
you might.
I might. Oh, it's not even as an honorable mention, just as a joke, but you'll hear it anyway. But anyway, top 3 favorite weird beers. Heidi, please kick us off and tell us what your top 3 favorite weird beers.
All right. So I do. So weird could be interpreted in a bunch of ways, right? So I like to try anything that's unconventional, and
Same.
and I, something I've never heard of. That's gonna be, if I go to a bar, like that's gonna be what I order. It's something I've never had, and it just sounds unique.
Same.
So having done this for a number of years, the probably weirdest beer that was pretty good was a Kung Pao beer. I like to, as I talked to amongst the group of people we tried it with, call it Kung Pao chicken, but it really had no chicken in it. But it was
Hope not.
Stillwater artisanal. And it was, it had peanut extract and I think there's soy sauce. There was definitely salt involved. I thought it came from the soy sauce. It was a imperial stout, so it was like 11%. And I will tell you, it was in a Yankee swap, and nobody else wanted that beer. So I was like, I'll take it. It's weird. I'll take it. And I will say, the 4th can I used to cook instead of drink, but it was, I think they did a good job at achieving something outside of the box and wasn't gross.
Did they deliver on what it was supposed to be?
I think they did. I think a lot
to me, that's the measure.
Right. So here's my thing about weird beers is a lot of people just don't even want to try weird beers because they want a beer that tastes like a beer.
Right.
Right. So, but back in the day, today's IPAs didn't taste like a beer. So I feel like let's give everything a shot. Let's try it and let's see how they measure up. And an imperial stout, you're not really gonna have more than one of them unless you want to pass out. And so I think it was tasty and it hit the marks that they wanted to hit. Yeah.
But further to your point, it's not just that. It's when you've been in the craft beer world as long as we have, you want something different.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So yeah, I'm with you. If that had been one of those kind of things, that's the one I would look for.
I got you. Nice.
Yeah, right? Okay, so that's one.
That's one.
You got two more there, Heidi.
Okay.
I'll give you one.
Okay.
Maybe help Heidi out.
I have 3, but you can go.
You have 3?
I have 3, but you can go.
All right. I remember there was out of PA, I think, Pizza Boy Brewing.
Oh, yeah.
And suddenly they came out with the pizza beer or
I think that might have been their first beer because if you're called Pizza Boy, wouldn't you do that first? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know how to answer your earlier questions about did they hit the mark. It was terrible. In my opinion.
Was it what it's
I don't
supposed
say
to
that
be?
in my opinion because maybe I just wasn't ready for a beer with that much basil or
Like I said, most
tomato
people
basil beers.
want a beer that tastes like beer.
tomato basil based beer.
Eric also thinks that a pizza with chicken isn't really a pizza because it has chicken.
It might be good, but it's not a pizza.
It might be good and it might be delicious, but it's not a pizza.
What are your thoughts on pineapple?
Oh, Eric loves pineapple on pizza. Yeah.
Pineapple and bacon on pizza is one of my favorites.
I like, me too.
Yeah.
Canadian bacon and pineapple even.
Oh, I haven't had that.
I actually like the pineapple
thing.
and just pepperoni, which I always get a weird look. Yep.
Pineapple, no.
That's
Pineapple, pepperoni, sun-dried tomatoes, and roasted peppers.
Ooh, that sounds
I
excellent.
can see that. Okay, I know someone who
tomatoes
makes.
are awesome.
That was actually on the menu at 381. It was one of my pizzas.
Say that again because Carrie's son is
awesome.
he makes
Sounds
pizza.
perfect.
He's a pizza wizard. I'm gonna have to give that to him. So pepperoni,
pineapple, sun-dried
roasted peppers,
tomatoes,
and sun-dried tomatoes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, that sounds phenomenal.
I'm gonna have to make him make that for us. Okay.
I called it a Jersey sunset. I called it.
That's a good name.
Yeah, but the pineapple's not Jersey. It's Hawaiian. It's
the bar was in Jersey.
Don't overlook it.
the bar doesn't exist anymore, John. So
well, when it was there, that was the beer.
Heidi, you've got two more.
Okay. So Carton, Gilded Lily, triple with truffles.
Truffle ale.
And I will admit, I am a sucker for anything truffle. Like, but it was delicate. You could definitely taste the truffle.
Oh, hell yeah.
And you could taste the triple underneath.
Especially the first iteration of that beer.
First one was the biggest, but yeah.
So I don't think
you
I've
tasted
had
in all of them, but the first one was
the first one. He used so much actual true white truffle. He was not truffle oil. It was truffle.
Can't imagine how much that cost.
You
can't really use truffle oil.
He lost money on this beer, but he
lost a lot of money on the beer. Yeah.
He lost a lot of money on this beer. We went down. So there was a time that I used to pour for Carton, and the first year that he was invited to Hunapoo, I went down to pour for him, and we brought Gilded Lily. Gilded Lily won third place at Hunapoo. And this was the one that if you drank it, truffles was coming out of your pores, white truffles, and you were in serious danger of gang rape if you walked past a pig farm. It was, I think Augie dubbed it sexy pig rape beer or something like that. That beer was really strong with the truffle.
Exactly.
The iterations afterwards were not as strong, but still damn good.
Yep.
Yeah. It was subtle, and the beer was still delicate.
Oh, the first one was not subtle.
The first one was not subtle.
Okay, so maybe it was the second iteration I had. But yeah.
What? All right, what's your third one?
I'm gonna have to go with our beer, Mary Shroom. It's
I can't argue with that. Yeah.
It's
rare.
It's we use 6 different kinds of mushrooms.
All the fancy ones, none of the cheap ones.
Yeah.
You don't get any buttons.
Well, no,
Shiitake,
we don't
porcini, and
yeah, and we don't use, we don't use buttons, but and we don't use chanterelles or morels because you just can't do those. Like they're like through the roof, almost expensive as truffles. But
Yep.
I've never also seen. Well, I have seen those dried, but not from the supplier I get my mushrooms from. So
that beer throws so much umami.
yes,
I love it. There's a few beers out there that are just straight up umami beers. Palo Santo Moran from Dogfish Head is an umami beer because you get that actually from the wood. But your beer throws more umami than any beer I've ever had.
And I think the rosemary kind of accents it a little bit too. So, and yet this beer has been hated on, but because for so many reasons, because
Or loved.
Loved by a lot of people, but hated on. But you think about the natural population of people. Probably, I'm going to say at least 30% of the population hates mushrooms, and another section of the population hates rosemary, which I did not know until
I don't get that. The rosemary is great.
I think it's more. I like rosemary. I think it's more the fact that people don't expect a beer to taste meaty.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And
that beer tastes meaty.
Correct. And I think here's the other thing about that beer is drinking it on its own. It can, it's still. Some people love that beer, but drinking it paired with food is like one of the best experiences with food. And that's why I created it, because I was super annoyed by Thanksgiving dinner and having no good alcohols that could pair with Thanksgiving dinner. It upset me.
Interesting. So do you have that beer now?
Yes, we do.
Not on tap.
It will be on tap. I think starting next weekend. Yeah.
Dave knows what I pair with my Thanksgiving dinner, but
he's got celebration ale for his Thanksgiving dinner. However,
but it doesn't actually pair. In talking,
no, it doesn't.
It pairs for me. It pairs for me. It doesn't pair for him.
Okay. Well, I mean, anything that makes you happy is a good pairing. Let me say that.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. However, I can see this pairing for Thanksgiving, and John and I do a Thanksgiving show. So if it's available and canned,
we'll have to get some. And
we need to get there for our. When's our Thanksgiving show, John?
November 22nd.
Yeah, we're releasing it in like either next week or the next week after. Yeah.
Okay, so if we can't get there for that, Gene, you need to be a mule for us. We know you're a big teddy bear, but if you could be a mule for a moment, please do that for us. Because this is, but no, I really do need to get to you guys again soon.
It's really such a popular beer, especially in Thanksgiving. Like I've had people who hate mushrooms. I hate mushrooms, they say, and they love the beer.
Well,
and I think a lot of it's that, like, what you're initially introduced to,
right?
Or we introduce children to as mushrooms, is like button mushrooms that are cooked down to where they're rubber and just texture is horrible,
squeaky.
The
and you put them
mushrooms.
on the like canned mushrooms on a pizza.
Oh no,
Chinese food.
No, if you have good mushrooms, are just nothing beats
love mushrooms.
That said, I'm not the hugest mushroom fan, but the flavor is amazing, and
I cook with mushrooms all the time.
Gene said mule or jackass.
Okay, there's
it's a fine line.
You can be both, Gene. I've seen you be both.
That was witty,
That really depends on how he identifies himself.
No. We love Gene.
Of course.
Mule for us, and you've been a jackass from time to time, but we still love you, Gene.
There you go. Anyway.
That's a great list right there.
That's a great list.
Definitely need to get there. Oh God. We need to get that beer for the Thanksgiving show.
Thanksgiving show, yeah, I think we do.
Yeah.
Eric, do you have two others?
No, I don't.
Right.
I'm out.
I was not
pizza,
prepared for
pizza
this.
beer. Now, was the pizza beer? I was thinking about this. Was the pizza beer called Mamma Mia?
It was, I
think so.
think.
Yes,
All
it
right.
was.
I was thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, I think that was the beer name. All right.
And that was Mamma Mia was one of the early tomato
was
basil
early.
beers.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was a
It was probably 2003-ish, I'm thinking.
Early,
They're,
yeah.
they're
Super
probably
hot
before
beer.
that, but that was
That was
probably
a
one of
beer.
the most popular ones. Yeah.
Right. So.
Was Ghostface Killer.
Oh, Ghostface Killer.
Ghostface
Well,
Killer.
Ghostface Killer.
But we
That's a
couldn't-
different. That's got
But we
ghost pepper in
couldn't
it.
drink it. Like we
You-
couldn't drink it.
I mean,
It was undrinkable. I took one sip of it once, and I couldn't swallow. It just
no,
no.
it just burns you up.
That's
no.
what she said.
Yeah, she beat me.
Yeah.
She beat me to that one.
Yeah.
Ghostface Killer. So John knows full well that my palate for Scoville units is extremely high. So Ghostface Killer to me is actually
Dave could actually take a spoon of capsaicin and just eat it. So
yeah, probably.
Really?
So Ghostface Killer to me was a little on the weak side as far as the capsaicin is concerned. Stone's Crime, and so there's got two different beers, Crime and Punishment.
Yeah, I've had it. I had both.
Those are brutal beers, and I love both of them.
Mhm.
They have thrown so many high Scoville unit peppers into those things.
I had some of the originals. Have they upped it since then? Because
No, I don't think so because Pete can't drink his own damn beer. He's admitted I can't drink these beers. So but I think he's come to terms with that. So I don't think, if anything, they would have lowered it, but I don't think he's lowered it. I think he's come to terms with the fact that he can't drink his own beer, and he's okay with that. And they will still release it every now and then for those masochists among us that love a beer that's going to destroy us for a couple of days.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Brian Bogue just said he shared one bottle of Ghostface Killer with over a dozen people.
And the Ghostface Killer is not a huge bottle either. It's a 12-ounce.
It's a 12-ounce bottle.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
One ounce each.
Everybody had like a half an ounce or something. Have you ever had so you like hot stuff?
Oh yeah.
So have you ever had that moment like when you're like sleeping in bed and you're sweating and you're having like weird hallucinations because what you ate was so hot?
I think that was a Simpsons episode.
It was, but it was also an episode in my life when we went to a small like deli that was kind of like, it was post 9/11, and it
was pre 9/11.
Oh, it was pre 9/11, but
They
they
were,
closed post 9/11. But
Syrian?
no, it was Middle Eastern.
It was Middle Eastern.
And we ordered hot wings from them. I don't know if they were effing with us.
They were, I think, because it was like
just
2 a.m. in New York City, and we walked in it's Upper East Side, and they say, "You want hot wings?" And we're like, "Yeah, we want hot wings."
Okay, white
like,
people.
How?
Yeah.
And they're like, "How hot do you want them?"
Or like hot wings, thinking we'll
But
get
like-
the like.
He goes, "Do you want extra?" I said, "No, just like regular,
Yeah.
But I don't know if they did the extra, but like
We
went
rinsed them
home.
off and still ate them.
Well, first of all, we took a bite and we were dying. Both of us, we had like our mouths under the sink, the faucet, like trying to like get that out. They're like, milk. We need milk.
You're
Like-
smart because you know that it's milk that will kill the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
but it
it's
didn't. No.
yeah.
I mean,
Not
not
that much. It didn't. Yeah.
no.
It was bad. It was
I
bad.
mean, I had nightmares the whole night. It was
Really? So
Wow.
John knows I make my own spice rub. And the mild version for me is chipotle, but habanero I make more often than not. I have made this with Carolina Reaper.
Oh.
And I love that version of it. So I've got a friend from work. He's Indian, and anytime we go someplace an Indian restaurant, and he knows them. And in the Parsippany area of New Jersey, you've got a lot of Indian restaurants. He knows all of them. So if we come to one of those restaurants, he'll say to them, because I'll order it hot, and he'll look at the waiter, and he'll go, Indian hot.
Yeah.
Because he knows it can handle it. So, but I get how a lot of these beers, when they've got those, because one of the first chili beers was Cave Creek, right? Remember Cave Creek?
No.
Cave Creek? No.
You're from Flagstaff. You don't know Cave Creek? Cave Creek's in Arizona.
It sounds familiar.
He might have been out of Arizona by the time.
Out east by the time they opened.
Yeah,
it's very possible. But they only use green chilies and a lot. But the great thing about that beer, and I don't like to flavor it so much, but the great thing about that beer is they let all of the heat of the chili come out in that beer.
Interesting.
Which makes it undrinkable for a lot of people.
Right.
And this is just
yeah.
yeah, it's just a green chili. Whereas your beers, you've got a jalapeno beer. The heat isn't all that prevalent. The flavor of the
eventually remove it so that it will be more approachable. Yeah.
But the flavor of the jalapeno is in it.
You're listening to the capsaicin portion of the show.
If you just tuned in.
So, but that's why I love that beer, is that you've managed to take a beer that could be unapproachable for so many people. You've taken the flavor of the pepper and still it shines in there without all the heat that it can actually deliver.
Thank you. And then what we like about that beer is that people can dial in their own heat by adding, like if they get a growler fill, they can add peppers to it. And in like 24 hours, that beer is hot as hell. So
throw some habaneros in that thing. And
there you go.
You're going to get some heat and you're going to get some citrus out of it as well, which is wonderful.
So, Dave, you've mentioned about 30 other beers. What are your three and your top three list?
My three. Aren't you going to go to Brian's comment first?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yes, Brian Bogue, flamethrower. Yes, that was a version of Double BW, Brian. Correct? Am I correct on that one? Let me know.
What? And I want to know what chilies he put in that thing.
Is it paprika?
No, flamethrower.
No, he's not going to mention it. It was just paprika. Paprika doesn't throw a hell of a lot of heat.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what. So what version of what of your beers and what chilies were in that?
I believe it was WBW. I forget. Yes, it was WBW and Chipotle. Yes, that's right. It was Chipotle.
Chipotle is one of my favorite chilies. That's just a smoked.
Me too.
It's a smoked jalapeno.
Smoked jalapeno. Smoked ancho or
jalapeno.
No.
Jalapeno.
Ancho
is smoked.
Ancho is a smoked
poblano.
Yes.
Oh.
Is a smoked jalapeno.
Ancho is a smoked poblano.
And ancho is one of my favorite. That's why I've got an ancho infused vodka sitting over here. Mm-hmm. That I mistakenly put into my October Revolution, which was undrinkable. That's actually made for another drink entirely, which may show up on the show eventually. But
all right. So, what are your three?
So my three,
because I'm hungry.
I know John doesn't eat before the show, which makes him rush.
We didn't either.
So number three comes from Collective Arts. This was a can I came across down in Weehawken, not too far from the ferry terminal down there. And I looked at this can and I was intrigued. And this goes back to we've been in the beer business so long, we've had so many damn beers that this just seems so goddamn odd. Mm-hmm. I had to buy it. And I expected this to be an absolute awful mess.
But
it turned out not to be. Mm-hmm. It's by Collective Arts. It is blueberry, chocolate, vanilla, coffee, sour.
I've had that beer.
It's a great beer. I love this beer. I was so surprised when I took a taste of it. I'm like, this was not supposed to be good. This is supposed to be a rip-roaring mess.
Yeah.
And somehow or another, they managed to balance all those flavors together to make something cohesive and lovely. I really enjoyed that beer. So that makes number three on there. Mm-hmm. Number two on my list, people who listen to the show know that when just before COVID, I moved up to Rhode Island in February of 2020. In March of 2020, everything shut down. I lived 4 blocks from a brewery called Smug, which is in Pawtucket. It used to be Bucket Brewing, but Rob took it over, turned it to Smug Brewing. And I was there for their first anniversary. They're a year old when I moved in, and they put out a beer for their first anniversary. It was very interesting. They collaborated with a donut company in Providence called PVD Donuts. PVD Donuts does some amazing donuts. But this collaboration of theirs was purple yams, cacao, lactose. I can't read my own damn notes here. Vanilla. Oh, and toasted coconut.
That sounds
So,
delicious.
first of all, imagine that as a donut, but then take that and make that a beer. And
Was it a sour or was it a
no. It was just a straight up ale.
Just an ale.
With all those flavors in it. I don't know what it was categorized other than.
Oh, wait, that's pretty close to a pumpkin spice beer.
Not too far, right? Because it's got yam in it, right? You've got some. But that was a delicious beer. I bought a growler from them because they didn't can it. They weren't really offering growler pours, but they knew that I was only 4 blocks away from them, so they allowed me to walk away the 16-ounce with a 16-ounce growler.
16-ounce growler.
No, a half growler. What's a half growler? 32. Sorry,
32.
A grunt.
32. Yes, so I walked away with a grunt for that.
There you go.
But when you talk about weird beers, and John knows this because we talked about this earlier today, the first thing that comes to mind is a beer to me that tastes like the smell you get when you walk into an Italian deli. So you're looking at like Brasala, Sharp Provolone, and all of that, all in a beer. And this is a smoked sour from Germany called a Lichtenheiner. It is one of my favorite styles, so I can't point out one particular beer from this. But this style, to me, is one of my...
They're pretty rare.
It's extremely rare. They're very hard to find. If I walk into any bar that's got a Lichtenheiner on tap, that's what I want.
You get it, yeah.
And I'll drink that the whole time I'm there. It's one of my favorite styles because it is such a weird style. It throws so many weird flavors.
Now let me ask you this.
Weird. Yeah,
No,
I've judged a few beer competitions, and the first time I ever experienced that, I was like, what the hell am I tasting? Like, it was good, but it was just weird. Yeah.
It's a challenging beer, but once you're used to them,
yeah,
it's one of those things that's, very divisive. You either hate these things or you absolutely fall in love with them.
Right.
And you have to like smoke, because if you don't like smoke,
sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So love that one.
Now, Dave, let me ask you: if you were in a German bar and they had a Lichtenheiner on tap, but they also had Weihenstephaner Hef and Aventinus on tap, which would you have first?
I'd have the Hef first, then move to the Aventinus and the Lichtenheiner because of the way it's going to impact your palate.
I should have said, which would you have? The answer to that is,
if I could only have one.
No. The answer to that is
all
three. Right?
all three of the damn things. But I would finish off the Lichtenheiner because once you've had the Lichtenheiner,
you're done.
You can't taste the other two.
You're
Yeah.
done. Right.
And so the Aventinus, and John brings up the Aventinus because I was in Germany in April, and it was a layover, and we actually managed to go and have that Aventinus
from
Tap 6 right in the brewery. And of course, I texted the whole thing to John. How early was it?
He called me. He was there at noon. So it's what, 5 or 6 in the morning.
7 in the morning. 7 in the morning.
7 in the morning. Calls me to let me know he's sitting at Schneider Rice having Aventinus from Tab 6 and then eating a bunch of worse too. So I'm like, yeah, good morning, screw you, goodbye.
Yeah. So I
probably
gave him
somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
Johnny, you're 3.
All right, my 3. All right, I'll make it quick. For number 3 is going to be. I got a joke afterwards, but my number 3 is going to be, and it was, and I have to preface by saying it was only the first version of it because I did have it the first time they released it, and I thought it was really wild that they were able to bring out the flavors of the bacon and the maple from the donut. It was Rogue's Voodoo, the bacon maple donut ale that they made. The second and third iterations were so lighter. I mean, they didn't use anywhere near the amount of bacon and maple and the donuts and everything else.
And I wanted more body to that beer.
Yeah, and yeah, the first
What
one was.
ABV was that? I don't remember now.
What's
Oh
that?
God, that's going back.
Yeah.
2010, 2011.
No,
I think it's
much
even before
earlier
that.
than
I
that.
think
Oh wait, maybe it wasn't. It
Yeah.
wasn't much earlier than that. No, it was
It
like
wasn't the pink bottle, was it?
yeah, it was a pink bottle. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it
pink
was.
Pink
bottle.
bottle. It was
Yeah.
a pink bottle.
Yeah,
It looked like Papa Legba on the
so-
label, right?
looks like a yeah. If you didn't have a label on it, you thought it was Pepto Bismol, right? So-
No,
Yeah,
but-
yeah.
right. Right, but Papa Legba is like the deity of the voodoo
right.
voodoo religion. So I think
But yeah, only the first version because any iterations after that, Rogue just got too big for it, and they cut back on a lot of stuff, like most things. Like I mean, we talked about a lot of it, right? So there you go. So the voodoo,
Yeah, like what we talked about, Gilded Lily.
right.
That changed through the years.
The number 2 would be a beer, and I should have came with Dave. Was up last summer. Was up in Portland at Bunker Brewing.
Portland, Maine.
Portland,
Yeah.
Maine. Yeah, in Bunker Brewing.
One of the most
And,
underrated breweries in
Portland. Yeah, absolutely. And they released it was a Brunch was the name of the beer, and it was a bourbon barrel aged imperial stout with cinnamon, maple, and blueberries.
And it's funny because John and I argued a little bit earlier today at how weird that beer is. And to me, it's a breakfast stout just taken one step further to add the blueberries.
Yeah.
It's a Maine breakfast stout in Maine.
Yeah, but you don't put cinnamon generally in a breakfast stout either.
Yeah,
too,
but the
French
breakfast-
toast.
Blueberry.
French
I think-
toast, you know.
Kane and Weyerbacher both did cinnamon in their breakfast beer.
right. But
right.
in Maine,
But it's more of a French toast. Is what I'm saying.
blueberries are a big
Generally
thing. So
speaking, breakfast
Correct.
is
My whole family, like, you ask us what fruit we want, and if blueberry is an option,
Blueberry,
you're going to take blueberry.
blueberry, right?
Yeah. So in Maine, adding blueberry to something that's called breakfast is not a stretch or weird at all.
It's not a stretch, yeah, but it was good.
No.
Yeah,
No.
but it's not something that's out there on the market.
No.
honestly.
Yes,
no.
nationally, yes, you don't see
Right.
that too often.
And then my number 1, if you will, and these aren't generally 3, 2, 1 anyway, but my number 1, and I'll preface it by saying there are a lot of carton beers that fit into the
Oh my
weird
God.
beer category.
I
right?
steered away from the carton beers because I used to pour for them, and there's
Right,
so
but-
many.
Yeah, I any of them, right? The original pumpkin
Rav
cream, the
and
pumpkin cream stuff, Rav, just many of them, but Panzanella.
I love Panzanella. So Panzanella is close to what Eric was talking about with the
With
pizza
the
boy.
pizza boy, but it actually was good. So, right. But yeah,
And
but
vanilla is, just to back it up for people, that's the bread salad, right?
yes,
Yes.
that's the bread salad. There's and in the beer they actually put sun-dried tomatoes, tomato paste, and cucumber in the beer when they made it. So
It's a fantastic beer. I love that.
it's a
beer.
good beer. It's
Yeah,
refreshing and
I don't think I ever tried that one.
yeah, it's a good one. It's good. They haven't made it in a while, but it's a good one.
Yeah, Carton
Um,
specializes in weird beers.
Yeah. And then I just want to throw one thing out to you. You talk about weird beers. I cannot talk about weird beers without saying probably the weirdest beer I've ever had. It's not on my top 3. All right. But it's certainly the weirdest beer I've ever had. And I will say, and I'm actually, from time to time, I'm actually embarrassed to say that it was actually very tasty. Okay. And that would be a specific beer from Colorado, from Wynkoop Brewing,
Oh God, there we go.
called Rocky Mountain Oyster Stout. Okay.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Still need to try that.
Yeah. I mean, it was on a dare while I was sitting at Wynkoop in Denver.
It's not
I'm
a
like-
dare. If you go to Wynkoop, You have to drink that.
You have to
Otherwise,
drink it.
don't
Right.
walk through those doors.
Well, no, dude, it's like
They
the dare was before he walked into
Is it
Wing
actually
Coop, you know?
Rocky
Actually
Mountain?
brewed with bull's
Bull
testicles.
testicles, yeah.
Yeah.
But bull testicles, yes.
Sliced
Is it
bull's
actually?
testicles. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably like, I mean, you're talking about the beef end of the country, right? Where they have this
So
is
many, right?
And
still
we-
now it's probably super hard to get because they sell bully sticks for dogs, which are
Right.
also super expensive.
Right. Exactly.
So now it's probably in high demand, and they probably don't
Yeah.
make it anymore.
But you
Probably
think
not.
about
Was
it,
it
an
good?
oysters.
Was it good?
Yes, it was. It was a
And-
good. I mean, look. Think about a regular oyster stout. The mouthfeel you get from an oyster stout, and
That's-
And that salinity.
well brewed stout, and the salinity.
and the salinity.
Right.
So
Right,
you know,
and
you
It was
each
very
with
similar to that. And it
salt
was
and-
very
Yeah,
tasty.
but
And
the
You
like-
can do
salt-
that with salt and like a stout without having bull
to put,
semen in
to
it.
put testicles in it.
Well, there's
Yeah,
no
so that
semen.
salinity comes from the
Yeah,
semen, John.
there's no semen in it. It was
I
just
don't
the
think there's any
testicles.
semen.
There's
No.
no actual
Like
semen in it.
testicles?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like
But
the
there's-
dried
it's their
bulls.
testicles.
It's the dried bulls
And what the
testicles.
testicles-
Yeah, no, they
Whatever
didn't-
testicles.
They didn't cut them off the bull, cut them up, and throw them in the mash.
It's
Yeah.
dry, so sorry.
Yeah.
Right. So,
But like
but,
that, the salinity in a stout changes the mouthfeel. It makes it like
Yeah.
silky and like smoother.
Sure, exactly.
And then
Well,
you
I had
get-
to when I drank it though. I had to tell myself that, this is just a stout. This is just a stout, right? And I drank it, and it was really good. Like about an hour later, I'm like thinking we're out of Wynkoop at this point, right? We're somewhere else, and I'm thinking about it, I'm like I just drank a beer brewed with bull's testicles.
Well, better than
Good.
there's also a tick called Rocky Mountain, so it's better than a beer brewed with ticks. I'm just
True.
saying.
That's true. That's true.
It does remind me of. So John knows about a friend of mine that I refer to as Meathead.
Mhm.
Meathead is someone who I brought into the craft beer world. Actually, he was. I told John earlier today. He was my control group when it came to this concoction right here, October
Right.
Revolution, because he hates pumpkin spice as well, but he loved this.
Yeah.
When I told him about a style called oyster stouts, he said to me, he goes, "That's absolutely disgusting. Never give one of those to me." He goes, however,
Did you sneak it to him after you had a few?
he said to me, he goes, "If you give one to me without me knowing, I will allow that." So I snuck him Pearls Before Swine. And he's drinking this. He's like, "I really like this. This has got a great mouthfeel to it. It's nice and smooth to it. There's this slight salinity to it. And you son of a bitch." Once he got the salinity to it, he realized I'd snuck him an oyster stout. He goes, "God damn it, I like this beer." So
And then I've had lobster stout too. Can't think of the brewery name right at the moment. but, like,
Narragansetts.
it wasn't there. It
Okay,
was,
I know they've
yeah.
got one.
Mhm.
But
Oh,
it was
here's the lobster stout that's
similar,
not them.
con-
I want to know.
similar concept. Like they're just using the shells with salinity.
Oh yeah.
Get that in there.
So yeah. All right. And what's coming up next through the holidays or whatever for Angry Erik? The brewery, not your husband.
Yeah, well, that's a good
So
question.
we have so we always do a beer for our dogs. And we
A
have
beer for the dogs. Now hops
each
don't
each
work
of
for
our
them.
dogs get their own beer. Yes.
all of our dogs are rescue dogs. So we have 3
God bless you for that. I'm not religious, but still, God bless you for that.
Yeah, we try to,
Help them out.
people who throw away dogs that are perfectly good, we take them.
Yeah, we don't get
Yeah.
puppies. We just wait till people who
Yeah.
realize their puppies are big dogs, then we take them. So all of our dogs
And-
have been at least a minimum of 60 pounds.
And we don't have
all my
kids,
dogs
so
have been
we-
rescues, so that's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. I love that.
Yeah, and we don't have don't
don't-
have kids, so we don't have to worry
Right.
or something about
Yeah.
like them being like if they're
We've only had
trouble.
we've only had one that was troublesome, but so we
Yeah.
have the original was Revol, that was for Amber. And she was
Which Revol just means
red
red
ale
ale
and amber ale in Norwegian.
yeah.
And so that was for Amber. She was a German Shepherd Doberman mix. And then there was 3-ball porter because he liked to hold 3 tennis balls in his mouth at any given time.
Oh, that's where the name comes from.
Yes.
Love that.
A lot of people think it's dirty, but it's not.
It's a Rocky Mountain oyster stout.
Just
Exactly.
like flocculation, right?
Yes, exactly. It's better than flaccidation.
Well, you don't want to do that now.
Sorry. And
Wrong.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's what she
We're all too old for this.
wow.
Yeah, after everything that Eric drank.
So then there was 3-ball porter. No, I'm sorry. After 3-ball porter was 2-shoe brew. So we had Brewer, who was a Mastiff mix, who we'd come home and he'd have 2 shoes in his mouth. He wouldn't chew them. He'd just like lay on them. And yeah, so he was a good boy. And then we had so Citra Kisses, and she's a German Shepherd Border Collie mix who we talked about before. She's a herder, and she wanted to bite the crap out of us, like to wake us up in the morning and to do anything. Like, and so I was like, no, this needs to stop. So I like spread peanut butter on my feet and my hands to teach her how to kiss instead of bite. I know it sounds really weird.
That sounds counterintuitive, but okay.
Yeah,
it works very well.
It worked because when they eat peanut butter, they lick it instead of chomp it.
So then,
the whole time she's licking it,
biting.
I'd say kisses, good kisses, good kisses.
And it'll satisfy them for a while and leave you.
And she learned to associate that.
Well, they eat you whole.
That licking with the word kisses. So then anytime she tried to nip, it wasn't biting, it was nipping. But anytime she tried to nip after that, I just say, no, kisses, give me kisses. And then she learned it eventually. So,
There you go.
yeah,
Very
that's
cool.
how we came up with Citra Kisses. Then there was Fuggles. So Fuggles is our problem dog. He is.
Those British.
Yeah. When he's feeling good, he's a good dog. But only with us, like really.
Fuggles is the Mastiff or the
No,
Shar-Pei?
he's the Shar-Pei.
Shar-Pei.
Yeah. Shar-Peis aren't really known for their personality.
No, they're not. They're not known to be patient dogs.
No.
They have a personality. It's just not
They do. It's not a great one.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then, so now our 6th dog, Thor, who is a COVID adoption.
Thor, that's.
Yeah. And he's the biggest yet. When we got him at 82 pounds, they told us he was full grown. that was not true.
No,
So he's a boxer mix with Saint Bernard, and he's now like around 102, 104, depends.
Oof.
Okay. And great dog,
but he's a lap dog, obviously.
The bigger the dog, the more of a lap dog they think they are.
Right.
Yeah, Great Danes think they're lap dogs.
Right.
so we have his beer, which is gonna be because he's he's a white boxer.
Oh yes.
And with the Saint Bernard mask, and his
which fur did he get?
So it's short, so not.
So we got the
Saint
boxer
Bernard,
short.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, boxer short, which
yeah.
he came up. So he was with some super rich people. Not
The foster parents.
yeah, the foster parents were super rich because they're just like, all right, it's in Mendham or whatever, and they're like, yeah, we'll just send his DNA out to get.
There you go.
They gave him pairs of like
very nice
fancy
people,
boots
but
to chew on as a toy. Like,
yeah. And we were like, they're like, he just likes to hang out by the pool, and it's like a full gunite, like fancy pool. And I'm like, well, we have a pool, but it doesn't look like that.
He
like
might not like it in Sussex
our
County.
house.
Yeah.
the lake's better for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Pool or pond? Pool or pond?
Like,
Pond be good for you.
Pond,
Natural
pond.
spring. Natural spring.
Pond.
yeah.
Exactly.
So
anyway, so we have
you got a
his
beer
beer.
coming out based on the dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
We always do a beer based on every one of our dogs.
and his beer. So I didn't say Fuggles beer. This is funny. Fuggles beer is called for Fuggles' sake because
I like that.
For
You know,
fuggle's sake. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Fuggles.
So John,
And-
I got to talk to John because the Rhode Island Craft Beer Festival is coming up, and Six Pack will be there. Six Pack
Right.
Brewing in Rhode Island has named every one of their beers after their dogs. The ironic part is none of their beers come in 6 packs.
That is funny.
The word pack comes from their dogs, and they have 6 dogs, so they've got a 6-pack of dogs.
Right. That's funny. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I like that.
All right, we will kick their ass when we show up.
What?
there you go.
Are you going to the Rhode Island Beer Festival? It's January.
We're taking them out.
It's coming up in
Rhode Island Beer
January.
Festival, here we come.
There you go.
And Carrie and I are going. I got to get John and Jess to go on this one.
We gotta get
I got to see if they got a podcast area in there.
Rhode Island Beer, the Rhode Island Beer Festival. Like Jess and I were at one 5.5 years ago.
There's 2 of them. There's 2
Okay.
of them. There's the
There's one in April.
Yes, that's the one down in Newport,
Right. That's one I've
down
been
at the
to.
fort. This one's at Waterfire
Okay.
outside of Providence, and every one of. I don't know if Tilted is there. Tilted Bar may not be at this one, but all of the rest of the great breweries in Rhode Island are there.
There you go. All right.
Sounds awesome.
Okay. So, what's any events coming up for the holidays, or just the dog's beer,
So we've been
Or
talking
just
about-
in-laws
sorry,
or what?
I was
or
kind
just
of
in?
excited. But we've been talking about having a y'all remember the Boston Tea Party, of course.
I've heard of it.
I wasn't
wasn't there.
but-
But the whole thing with New Jersey beer laws has kind of made us feel a little bit like
Oh,
party-ish. So the anniversary of the Boston Tea Party is December 16th.
And out of all the things,
Regulations without representation.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
I like this. I like this a lot.
But-
I
And
like
all
this
of the
plan. I'm
things
proud
that,
to be a part of it.
I like this plan.
I'm proud to be a part of it.
There you
there
go.
That's a
might be
Ghostbusters
an
reference.
A and a B and a C burned in effigy. I don't know.
There you go.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
There you go.
We'll be cold anyway.
Oh,
so-
you gotta let us know when that's happening.
Let us know when you're doing that. Let us know. Yeah.
And we will. We may show up in Patriot garb.
Could be.
Not New England Patriots, not the football.
Yeah,
team.
no.
No.
Screw
Oh.
them.
Well,
Jets are doing way too good now. So you
We always
They're
do our
actually-
Black
they're
Friday
doing
event where we have
Giants are doing a little better. But,
yeah, that's true.
A little bit.
Surprisingly, I don't get it.
Surprisingly,
covered in blue. So
I'm starting to buy in a little bit, but I'm still cautiously
No.
optimistic.
I'm not. You know, John. You know me. I'm a complete cynic.
Mhm.
I'm not bought in yet.
No,
Bought
no.
in yet. I
Still being cautious. I'm still being
Let's-
cautious. But.
let's play the.
Yeah. By the way, just not that this is the sports podcast by any means. That's tomorrow night, but the Yankees did win, so the Yankees are moving on to
Okay.
play Houston in the.
Oh, they beat
Yes.
the Cleveland. No
They
longer
believe
the
the
Indians.
the Cleveland. Yeah, I thought they should have become the Rockers. Actually,
I agree. That's a good point right there.
Mhm.
So
Cleveland
who are
Rock.
they going to face
Well,
in the next round?
oh,
And
because
I-
they have the Rock and Roll
Rock Hall of Fame, right?
Which I like.
Oh, that's not
I-
bad. Yeah.
I kind of understand why they put it there because the disc jockey that coined the phrase was from Cleveland, but I really, and as much as I don't,
This jockey that coined the phrase was born and raised in Cleveland, and that was
I forget his name. You know it.
I know it
Too many beers, so little time.
Tell us, John,
really.
please.
So too many White
Well,
Russians.
and let's
with
not
weird
forget Hello
flavors.
Cleveland.
October.
Hello,
Revolution.
Cleveland. Right.
Hello Cleveland.
Stay classy, Cleveland.
Stay classy.
Yeah. What was his name's on the tip of my tongue? Give it to us, John.
You got to get it. You're,
No, I'm not
you're,
gonna get it.
you're
I'm
not.
gonna get
You're not allowed to get it. You're not allowed to pass on this one. You got to get it.
You're not gonna help him.
Do you know it, John?
I do know it.
You're
I'll
just making it
Oh, I
sound
can
right.
guarantee you he knows it.
give you
Love it.
this. You want me to just tell you,
Yes.
Alan Freed.
Because you just sent me a text saying you're
Alan-
starving and you're going to
Alan
stretch the
Freed.
show.
Alan
Alan
Freed.
Freed. And you're
Alan
going to stretch
Freed.
this show out
There you go.
to show me
Alan
out.
Freed.
Even
Alan
though you
Freed.
sent me a text, please help me.
Alan
get
Freed.
shut up.
Yeah, I told you to shut up. Anyway,
I'm just
Alan,
looking-
shut up. But now,
Alan-
but John's not going to shut up.
Alan Freed. Alan Freed
Alan
is his name.
Absolutely.
Alan Freed is his name.
So
And
I agree with you. They should have been the Cleveland Rockers.
But he was. But what? Where did he? What? Where was the radio station he was on the air when he announced? When he coined the phrase rock and roll?
It actually wasn't Cleveland.
No, it was not.
And I forget
Was
where
it
that
WKRP in Cincinnati?
No, it was not WKRP in Cincinnati. That was Johnny Fever. That was Johnny Fever.
Oh
Oh my God, Johnny Brewer.
It was New York. It was New York. He was on the air in New York. He was actually on WINS.
As God as
10-10 wins. It was not a news station when Alan Freed was on it. It was a rock. It was a music station, and he coined the phrase rock and roll. So,
as God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Scott is my witness. I thought turkeys could fly. I have that T-shirt. I wear that on Thanksgiving. So
I really think, and as much as I don't appreciate the city so much,
Les Nessman, as God is my. Oh no, actually,
Les Nessman. No, it's Les Nessman.
No, Les Nessman did the report. Oh, the humanities.
Yes, the humanities.
But it was
dropping down in those.
Right.
Yes,
it was the director, the
station manager.
Station manager. He said,
God is my witness.
I thought
turkeys could fly.
Right.
Yeah.
But as much as, and John knows, I don't want to give anything to the city. I really think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should have landed in Philadelphia.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because so much rock and roll came out of there.
So much rock and roll came out of New York.
This is true, but I think it was mostly based off of what was the TV show? Where the Ageless One got his start.
Where the what?
The what?
Ageless One.
Ageless One. Who's the Ageless One?
What was that? Oh God, what was that show?
Kidman?
Not that ageless.
Dick Clark.
American Bandstand.
American Bandstand. Yeah. Dick Clark.
Oh.
Dick Clark.
Yeah. Richard Clark.
Richard. Who apparently was not a dick.
He was not at all. So, anyway, quick story. My father was at a bunch of Alan Freed rock and roll shows back in the 50s, right? And he was in New York, and he's at the Brooklyn Paramount. And you've heard of Jerry Lee Lewis, right? Great Balls of Fire.
Never,
right?
no.
Yeah. No. Okay. And
I've never heard
Sort
of
of famous.
Yeah, right.
But
Now, Chuck Berry was the headliner. Chuck Berry was going on last.
Yeah.
Jerry Lee Lewis went on just before him. He walks out on stage and he's setting up for, Chuck Berry to come out and kill it, right?
Right.
So he comes out and he does Great Balls of Fire. And he walks out, he walks off the stage, comes out, and he's got a can of gasoline and he pours it in the piano and lights the piano on fire and plays this Jerry Lee Lewis and plays Great Balls of Fire with the piano blazing away. When he's finished, the whole crowd is screaming. They come out, they put the fire out on the piano. They wheel the piano off stage. And Jerry Lee Lewis walked off the stage, walked up to, with the mic on, walked up to Chuck Berry and said, "Top that."
Oh, so he Hendrix before Hendrix.
Pretty much. Yeah.
When you burn a piano, like burning a guitar is nothing.
Yeah, but a piano.
Right.
I guess he had the money.
Guitar it is.
I guess.
Well, it's his piano, I guess,
At the time, he may have, yes.
Yeah, so
or maybe he didn't,
Or maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't. Who knows?
Sometimes you just burn something and pay later, I guess.
Exactly.
I've had enough to drink. I may burn the curtains.
Here you go. There you go. We lost Heidi.
She
Is it
is
potty
going
break?
to get another beer. She's behind me now. So.
Yes, man. I was going to wrap up the show, but I'm going to wait for her to get back on. So there you go.
So John's in what we call the outro.
Right. And one of these days, explain to what we're going to do one of these days.
So one of these days, I drink water out of a liter stein. I've got a whole bunch of these. I've got like 5 of these now. And one of these days, we're going to fill this with beer, and we're going to see if I can finish that before John finishes the outro. So we've got to. So I've timed John's outro.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to prepare to see if I can do a whole liter of beer before he finishes the outro.
There you go. So you got to figure it out. So time it again tonight. See if you get an average or whatever. But in any event, before I do the outro,
how long does it take?
Well, we're going to do it right now.
That's what we're going to see. You'll see how long it takes.
Yeah.
So John, I know full well that when this goes on, John will do the outro faster than he's ever done it.
Yeah, I'm gonna fly right through it. So, but in any event, before I do the outro, I want to thank both of you for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. It was a great show.
So here's the thing. So
would you like to tell them, or should I?
So when John told me you guys were coming on,
look at the time. Would you like to tell them, or should I?
This is now the longest show we've ever had.
This is the longest show we've ever done.
Because we've had so much fun on the show with you guys.
This is a lawyer involved.
This has been awesome, but the whole thing.
Mind you, only by maybe about 3 minutes, because if we didn't quite get to 2 hours and 20 minutes and it would have been a Tom show, right? But
yeah,
but we're out before 2:20. It's 2:20 now, so this is officially the longest show.
So John will tell you. Yes,
what I'm talking about.
So John will tell you that when I asked him today, like, who's on the show, because usually I find out the day of, because John books the talent, because we're not the talent.
Not even close.
So when he told us who was on when he told me who was on the show, he could hear the timbre in my voice. I was actually very happy to hear that we'd finally got Angry Erik on the show.
There you go.
We're a Jersey-based podcast. We like to go national. We like to go international, but we love to give love to our Jersey breweries.
Absolutely.
And having Angry Erik on, the first thought that came to my head was about fucking time.
Right.
And we've had these guys on.
Exactly.
Yes.
I cannot express to you how much I appreciate the bullshit you just gave us.
It wasn't bullshit. John will tell you that
was sincerity right there.
That was, and John knows damn well when I'm delivering bullshit and when I'm sincere. And
that was sincerity.
That was actually sincere. Love to have you guys on.
Thank you. It was
finally.
Fun. I usually, honestly, don't love these things. That's why when John called me, I was like, let me get in touch with Erik, because we're better as a team.
Yeah.
But this is so fun.
And Brian
Boat just said, we shovel well. Yes, we
do shovel well. But when we're honest, we are absolutely 100% honest. And I really hope you guys had a good time tonight.
There you go.
Yeah, we did.
We do. We hope you did too. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to do the outro. I want to talk to you after we're done.
Hold on. I'm actually going to time it.
You're going to time it too. One other quick thing. Gene Lynch said good night to all. So, and I don't think that's just for the four of us. I think Gene's sending it out there in the ethers too. So.
This was a God bless us everyone kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So stick around. Get ready to time. Here we go. All right, we'll wrap up the show for today. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night around 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Around. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you have not done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Erik, Heidi, thank you once again for coming on. It's been amazing. It's been a great show.
Cheers.
Drink a lot of beer, but drink responsibly, and we will talk to you soon, folks. Take care. Cheers.
So I've got about 50 minutes to finish a liter. 50 seconds.
50 seconds. 50 minutes. I was like, it's been that
That'd
long.
be easy.
Yeah. Anyway, cheers, guys. Take care.
All right, cheers.
Good night, all.
Guys,
Thanks
thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right, I'm going to run to the bathroom.
Hang on. We got to end the show first.
Oh, the show's not over yet.
Not yet.
Then I'll run.
Cheers.